Welcome to the Gia Vios Spring Cup.
Bring on the heat. Let's go racing.
All young men with suits and ties, just sitting in the crowd smoking big cigars. I hope you're ready for what's coming now. I'm the one, I'm the lady that will bring it down. There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play, where the whiskey's running like the river, but they all never come for the booze and bass. I'm the one, I'm the lady that'll rock this place.
One of the things that a driver cannot predict nor control is actually the weather.
From the beginning.
There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play.
Today, the majority of vehicle manufacturers trust Denso's quality and performance. And since we are one of the largest suppliers of original equipment in the world, chances are good that the vehicles you're servicing already rely on Denso's products to perform at their best. So, when a vehicle needs maintenance or repair, choose our aftermarket products for optimum fit, outstanding technical expertise, and service. Denso has built a strong sales and service network of more than 10,000 major distributors throughout the world who trust our aftermarket products. Denso's aftermarket products are known for their premium quality. We are one of the few automotive component manufacturers that offers an overall optimum fit in a wide range of vehicles. Our parts integrate seamlessly with modern vehicle electronic systems for better overall performance and precision. Denso creates optimal aftermarket parts that ensure vehicles stay on the road longer and run like new. With vision, creativity, and teamwork, we overcome difficulties in development, mass production, and quality. Take our Iridium spark plugs, one of Denso's world-first innovations with state-of-the-art material. Our engineers were challenged to be the pioneers of the world's thinnest 0.4 millimeter central electrode and developed a new iridium alloy while considering a variety of issues. We combined innovative production processes, like a high-speed, automated production line, to exactly position the iridium alloy chip on the electrode tip, and developed a new 360-degree laser welding method. All of our Iridium spark plugs are manufactured under the same original equipment quality control and subjected to rigorous safety and performance tests to ensure their quality. More than 6 billion spark plugs have been made. They gained the trust of professionals and are used by major motorsports teams. Just like our extensive line of Iridium plugs, and to meet the need of each region, all of our aftermarket products are designed for better fit and higher performance than most products in the market anywhere in the world. We are proud to support you in providing high-quality products that guarantee your customers' satisfaction and reinforce their trust in your service.
For the rest of my
Train, sleep, repeat.
Train, sleep, repeat.
Now I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
You can't compete.
Hey, I'm here to steal the show.
Let's go.
Train, sleep, repeat. Let's go, let's go.
You can make it. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Train, sleep, repeat. Let's go, let's go.
You're gonna steal the show.
Let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Hey, let's go, let's go.
Toyota, all about the drive.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to the Gia Vios Spring Cup.
Bring on the heat. Let's go racing.
All young men with suits and ties, just sitting in the crowd smoking big cigars. I hope you're ready for what's coming now. I'm the one, I'm the lady that will bring you down. There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play, where the whiskey's running like the river, but they all never come for the booze and bass. I'm the one, I'm the lady that'll rock this place.
One of the things that a driver cannot predict nor control is actually the weather.
Okay, now, from the beginning.
There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play.
Welcome to the Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity 2022 edition. Josh Ayman right now having a very, very good lead. Sigaraga tries to go for an attack on the inside. He does wrestle a place away.
Right behind him. There's going to be a little bit of a bump over there. Hey, now, there's a little bit of a line back there. Sigaraga comes in from the inside and he goes into P5. The way around. Very, very
Finds
close.
in the mix and he gets knocked up.
Taj Ayman wins the race.
Saya ingin cuba benda yang baru lah untuk challengekan diri sendiri.
Iqbal Suji is going to be leading the pack. Greg continues to try to fight, but cannot hold on for too long.
Oh! Someone just hit it on that. That is some solid grip shot.
Wow, Mato keeping himself right on the tail of King Greg.
Wow. So Iqbal Suji will be winning this race.
It's more of leaving a mark, the motorsports scene.
Usain is trying to chase down Daniel. The pressure is on. Number 4 as we see. A little bit of a bump there right behind him. The penalties is not going to go off. That's going to be a costly thing. And then Danny coming in from the inside, and there you go.
Danny trying to find inside. He elbows up. Danny spun all the way around. Usain takes position.
He just punted me off, which was very frustrating.
He's coming in from the inside, and then see him getting into P1, and that is fantastic overtaking there. And then off he goes into the checkered flags, and Danny wins the race.
Your half is now, and both him and Chong Kai Chung having a good start so far. Now Yoong is going to be able to get a run out of him on the outside. Can he take position back? No, he can't.
Right now we can really focus. Oh, that's a good one. He spun out. And there's a little bit of a bump there. And at this moment he's in P8. He's still and what happened at the back?
So unfortunately, Shamir has to give him the space now. Your half is going alongside, trying to close the door, but Shamir is still able to hang on there. Kawai Sakana, Chong Kai Chung able to take the win.
If I want to be a champion, the first thing I have to do is actually beat them.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championship 2022. This is Season 5. I'm your host, Naz Rahman. An absolute pleasure to be here. It's in its 5th year running. Jadi kepada semi-finalist kita, are you ready to burn some e-rubber? Pelan-pelan kayo, everybody's getting in the zone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to you live from One Utama Shopping Centre here in Bandar Utama. Centre Court, all wing, be here or be square. Now, UMW Toyota has brought e-racing to Malaysians since 2018, and this platform has been responsible for many young drivers making the transition to real life racing on track as well. Now, this season, Season 5 began in July. Over 400 racers came to participate. And of course, fast forward today, August, this is the semi-finals. Tomorrow is the grand finals. And it's down to the final 20, ladies and gentlemen, who will be bringing home 20,000 ringgit and a chance to represent Malaysia on the virtual world stage. We'll find out soon enough. Thank you to our sponsors, Toyo Tires, NK, Denso, Modelista, Motis, Drive M7 and Toyota Capital. Without our sponsors, this event will definitely not be a success. So we're coming to you live kepada anda yang sedang menonton di rumah, yang sedang menonton di Facebook dan juga YouTube. Setia bersama kita untuk keempat-empat race yang akan diadakan pada hari ini. And those of you who are living nearby Bandar Utama, what else for you to do this weekend? Come on over to One Utama and watch these guys race live. It's been a long, long time since we've had the opportunity to actually have an event right here on ground for everybody to watch. So take this opportunity to bring your family around, especially if all of you guys are racing fans, and you can try your hand at the time attack sessions that we have here today. There's been a time set by the ambassador of Toyota Gazoo Racing, Tengku Janle, and if you can beat his time right here within 4 laps, you will stand to win exclusive merchandise from Toyota Gazoo Racing. So, apa nak buat hujung minggu ini? Jom kita race lah, e-racing. And speaking of commentators, I know many racing events where commentators go, oh, it's a beautiful day for racing, kan? But as far as e-racing is concerned, it doesn't matter what kind of weather we have, rain or shine, it's ready to race. And so, it's on to our commentators, Victor Cax and Matthews Isaac. It's over to you guys.
Alright, thank you so much Nas. Selamat datang dan selamat kembali ke Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Esports Championship 2022. Anda bersama saya Matthews Isaac selaku pengulas rasmi anda yang akan mengulas dalam bahasa Melayu, and we have Victor Ang who will be bringing you all the actions in English. How are you doing, Victor?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to get started here because we are finally able to have it on ground after having to skip last year thanks to some unfortunate circumstances due to the pandemic. Now we're finally able to have this race on ground here. We have all the racers here live, and the environment here, my goodness, it is definitely heating up.
Yeah, it's starting up. It's definitely heating up. So, we have all the 40 drivers di dalam quarterfinal, but only 20 made it lah, Victor. But that was some race in the quarterfinals.
Oh yeah, it was really competitive even from the quarterfinals going onwards. I mean, all our heavy hitters like Taj Izrin, Mohamed Iqbal, Chong Kai Chang, Mio Muhammad, I mean, they all put themselves really on top of the board when it came to their respective groups when it came into the quarterfinals itself. But of course, only the top 5 of each group was able to make it here, so that leads us now to our top 20 coming here for the semifinals.
Alright, so jom kita lihat the top 20 drivers yang berada di dalam semifinals.
Yeah, so these are our 2 groups. We are going to be starting the day off with Group A. That's going to be comprised of Taj Izrin, Nofaris Ban, Chandra Mauli, Kira Lam, Ahmad Siddiq, Danish Bigaswaran, Muhammad Uzair, Rio Pandukusuma, Haris Shami, and Muhammad Kamal bin Muhammad Ali. So Taj Aiman, of course, he's coming in as the 2-time champion for the Velocity Championships, and he's going to be seeing if he can try to defend it one more time here, but definitely with some new faces in the mix, as well as a lot of veteran drivers here. He's sure to have quite a challenge here in this group, isn't he?
Yeah, this championship is wide open there, Victor. So untuk Group B, we see in the first position, we see Muhammad Iqbal, Go Ying, Itzam Atli, Putra Azwira, Akil Saufi, Chong Kai Chan, Mior Muhammad Hafiz, Fakrul Shamir, Muhammad Hakim bin Suhaimi, Muhammad Juwaidi bin Muhammad Johari. So this is the Group B. We saw all the actions in Group B. The Group B was absolutely fantastic, man. But I'm really looking forward for these semi-finals.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that we're also having a lot of representation from other states besides Selangor. Of course, predominantly most of our top 20 here are from this state, but we also have representatives from Kedah. Nur Farisman is from Kedah. Fakrul, he's from Pahang. And then Muhammad Hakim, he's from Negeri Sembilan. So it's great to see that we're having a lot of representation from other states as well. This really goes to show that these are the top 20 Malaysian drivers here in Gran Turismo Sport.
Yeah, so talking about top 20, we'll be introducing them. So Nas, take it away, my man.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much, man. I'm so glad that you guys are with us. You guys have been with us from the start, from the preliminaries to the quarterfinals, and now it's semi-final time. Ladies and gentlemen, 20 semi-finalists, 10 grand final spots. And so, our 20 finalists, as said by Victor and Matthew, our commentators today, they've been split into 2 groups, Group A and Group B, and we're ready to start Group A semi-finals right here, right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are here on ground and also those of you online, cheer for your favorite drivers. Let's invite our first driver, 2-time champion, Taj Izrin Aiman. Our next driver, all the way from Selangor, Nur Farisman bin Norde. Alamak ingatkan Selangor, rupanya orang Kedah orang Utara datang dari jauh untuk racing bersama-sama dengan kita. We move on to our third driver. This guy is from Selangor. Put your hands together for Chandra Mauli Anandan. Woo! To your sim, driver. Our next driver, put your hands together for Kira Lam Kok Hong, also from Selangor. Next driver, Ya Habibi, Ya Maulana, put your hands together for Ahmad As-Siddiq from Selangor. Introducing our first competitor from Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur is Danish Wignaswaran. Thank you, Danish. Off to your machine. Our next driver is the champion of Season 1. Put your hands together for Muhammad Uzair. Our next driver, also a contender, getting a credible finish in last year's Velocity Championship. Put your hands together for Rio Pandukusuma. Ladies and gentlemen, our ninth driver, please welcome from Selangor, Haris Shami bin Mutasir. our final driver, driver number 10, all the way from Negeri Sembilan. Put your hands together for Muhammad Kamal bin Muhammad Ali, first time Velocity semi-finalist. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, our 10 drivers for Group A, our 10 semi-finalists. Gentlemen, start your virtual endings. It's now back to your commentators, Victor Cax and Matthews Isaac. Over to you guys.
Alright, so itu dia kita dah lihat segala semi-finalists di dalam Group A. So man, I'm really looking forward to this, Victor.
Oh yeah, we're going to be having a look at our first race for today. So let's go ahead and let you guys know how this is going to turn out. So race number 1 is going to be basically a 5-minute qualifying into a 15-minute sprint race. So what that means is that the first 5 minutes are going to be given to the players, to the drivers, in order to set their fastest time, and then the times will determine their starting positions on the grid when it comes to the race. Now this 15-minute sprint race will be providing the first bulk of points here. As you can see, the points start at 25 points for the first place, and it goes all the way down to only a single point if you finish in 10th place. And those of you guys who are F1 fans out there who recognize that this is very similar to the F1 points system when it comes to their championship.
Alright, so jom kita lihat untuk race yang kedua. So this is going to be 30 minutes reverse grid, man. Same point format yang kita lihat daripada apa Victor mengatakan tadi. But of course, it's going to be 30 minutes race. Tire wear is going to be ballot, fuel consumption ballot. It's going to be tire rating also from ballot. But man, I'm really excited to see this race too, man.
Yeah, so what it means by reverse grid is that the finishing order of that first race will determine the starting order for the second race here. And because it's reverse grid, so basically if you win that first race, you're going to be starting in last place. So it's all reverse grid races. Yeah, it definitely gives you a challenge there, especially if you're at the top. It's going to be about how many overtakes you can make during the race. But then especially for those guys at the back, this is an opportunity for them to try to make up some points here. And given that these two races cumulatively will determine, you know, a lot of points here, especially going to races 3 and 4, you know, absolutely every single race is still very important.
Absolutely. So let's have a look on the track setup. And let's see what's going to be happening for the track setup. I'm really looking forward to this as well, because we know we're going to be using different track this time. It's going to be Brands Hatch, and this is a classic track, of course. I think Victor can run it through a little bit on this.
Yeah, Brands Hatch. I mean, again, this is a legendary track. Back in the 70s, it used to be the British Grand Prix. These days, though, it's been used a lot for GT racing. It's used for club racing as well. We're going to be using the Grand Prix layout, so that's the full-size layout of Brands Hatch itself. Still a relatively short track, but with plenty of British racing legends adorning the names of every single corner here on this track. You can be guaranteed that these drivers here want to put up a show.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look on the car setup. That will be coming up very shortly. And yeah, there you go, man. We will be using the Toyota. Can run it through over here. SFR.
Yeah, the SFR. So what this car is basically a tiny car, quite light as well. It's standing in at 1.1 tons, but it's carrying a lot of power under that hood there. 349 brake horsepower, 448 Newton meters of torque. So even though it may be slightly small and lighter compared to a GT86, it's a little bit faster, more powerful compared to that. So it's certainly going to be quite the car to use, actually, especially on a track like Brands Hatch, which will heavily favor these small and very nimble little machines.
I mean, I really like the shape of it, and having it in Brands Hatch, this is going to be iconic to watch, man. So yep, let's have a look on the prize pool that's going to be coming up very soon on. All right, so there you go. This is the car setup. So let's go on the prize pool. How much they'll be taking away. Man, this is massive, Victor. Absolutely massive. So the first place is bringing home 20,000, man.
20,000 ringgit. I mean, that's a lot of money, and it's no surprise that, you know, the Velocity Championship has been consistently one of the most competitive e-racing tournaments here in Malaysia, just simply of the size of this prize pool here. Now, naturally, with the total prize pool being this huge, every single person who has participated, basically everyone in the top 20 stands a chance to win some kind of cash prize. Only determination that we're going to be kind of like running through this weekend to see who's going to be able able to get that lion's share of the prize pool there. So first place 20,000, second place you still get 10,000, third place you still get 7,000. I mean, what can you even do with 7,000 ringgit?
I mean, not only that, tempat 4 ni mereka akan membawa RM 5,500. Tempat ke-5, 4,500. Tempat ke-6, 4,000. Tempat ke-7, 3,500. Tempat ke-8, RM3,000. Tempat ke-9, RM2,500. Tempat ke-10, RM2,000. Dan daripada tempat 11 ke-20, RM500. Man, it's like you're guaranteed something over here, man.
Yeah, as long as you're able to fight for positions, as long as you're able to put yourself a little bit higher, that means more money coming into your bank there. I mean, what's not to like when it comes to this tournament here, man? But yeah, we're going to be jumping into our semifinals race 1 very, very soon. And given that the drivers are going to be quite angsty to get this started, because you got to remember, last year we had to run the season, the 2021 season, basically remotely. So a lot of these drivers here, they had to compete inside the comfort of their own homes. Now, because we're having it on ground, that means they all have to be present right here in person to race this, and that also means that across the board, all the equipment is going to be similar. It's going to be much more of a spec kind of like system here for our sim drivers.
Yeah, so saya pun sangat teruja nak tengok bagaimana mereka ni akan menunjukkan segala aksi di atas litar virtual sebenarnya, especially in Grand Hatch. But yeah, Brands Hatch. But yes, I'm really looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, so in any case, when it comes to the actual race itself, because, you know, even during the qualifiers, it was a little bit of an interesting kind of like series of races there, because of course when we first did the quarterfinals, we used the most recent version of Gran Turismo, which is Gran Turismo 7. As you can see from some of the highlights, you know, it wasn't exactly the smoothest of experiences, but they still, nevertheless, though, brought us quite a lot of racing action through there, because it's still everyone is just vying to get into this spot here. I mean, when we have people who have been, you know, competing in this Velocity Championship since the very first one. I mean, we literally have the first champion, Muhammad Uzair, coming back here, and you know, a lot of attention has been really been put on our two-time champion, which is Taj Isrin. But Muhammad Uzair, he won the first Velocity Championship, and since then has been trying to, you know, trying to get himself back up to that top spot again. So, given that he's won the older, like most experienced sim drivers out there, this is kind of like a redemption run for him in a sense, to show that, you know, he still has what it takes, you know, to come against some of these new top guys like Taj Isrin or Iqbal Suji. You know, these younger guys now are starting to bring more challenges to the veteran drivers, so they really need to be on top of their game if they want to be able to stay on the top step of the podium.
Ya, benar tu. So, nampaknya semi-finalist kita di dalam Group A will be going in very, very soon. But tetapi at this very moment, siapakah yang akan menjadi pemenang, yang akan masuk ke dalam Grand Final? Hanya 5 There'll only be 5 races will be going into the Grand Finals.
Basically for each group, yeah. So the top 5 in each group, when you count the points after all the races there, those will be the ones who get into the Grand Finals here. So you can expect that, you know, the first race, even though like it is literally everyone starts from 0 points, right? But then the first race itself, most people think that it's going to be an opportunity to take things kind of lighthearted or like rather casual, but no, for these guys, every single race is important. Every single win they can get here is already like an extra guarantee. It's like literally half the work done if you win that first race already. You see, so for these for our top 10 drivers here in Group A, you know, they're all going to be vying for that top spot. If once they're able to get into that, the job becomes a lot easier from that point on. But really, when it comes to those who are finishing like somewhere in the middle of the pack, like say 5th place, 6th place, those guys had to be a little bit more careful, because like if they aren't able to match the same performance here in the next race itself, that could severely hamper their chances of getting into that grand final. So you expect things are going to be pretty much heating up, you know, starting from the first race onwards.
Alright, definitely. So kalau kita lihat di dalam Group A, seperti yang kita pun sudah announce sebenarnya, tadi Nas already called out all the races. Taj Isrin, we have Nur Farisman, Chandra Mauli, Kiralam Kokhung, Ahmad Siddiq, Danish Bigneswaran, Muhammad Uzair, Rio, Haris Syami dan juga Muhammad Kamal. So siapakah yang akan menangi race ini. Kita tunggu dan lihat. Saya pun dah sedia, Abang Nas pun dah sedia, Victor pun dah sedia. We are gonna go into the race very, very soon.
Yeah, well, we have the racers up on the screen here. I want to kind of like give a few highlights of some of these drivers here. Of course, Dutch Isrin, he is the two-time returning champion. This year, he's going to try to defend his two-time championship. Drivers such as, I see like a very interesting dichotomy where, you know, we have one of the oldest competitors here, Kira Lam Kok Hong. He's 36 years old this year. He's been racing, pretty much doing sim racing since 1997. That's 25 years of experience he's had. And the funny thing is that we have drivers here who are 17 years old. Nor Farizman, he's literally is still a teenager. We also have young drivers like Danish, who is only 21 years old. Can you imagine, Kira literally has been driving sims much longer than any of these drivers have been alive.
Yeah, sejak 1997. Yeah, 1997. So man, that is some experience. Tetapi it's all about who's going to win the race today, man. So kita pun sangat tertuju nak tengok what is going to be happening di dalam 10 penumpang kita di dalam semi-final Group A. So kita akan mulakan our qualifying start lama lagi. But yes, lots of expectations, lots of speculations yang mereka pun sudah mengatakan di dalam interview, Victor. We had it from Danish, we had it from Zaire, we had it from Dutch Isrin. But yes, I mean, we can say whatever we want, but at the end of the day, it's you proving yourself on the track.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put your money where your mouth is, right? And, you know, considering that a lot of these guys, you know, have been competing, I mean, especially for the veterans who've been literally doing sim racing for years, you know, they had also been holding their skills in other, like, sim racing games here. So, but the thing is that for the, particularly for the guys who have been champions of this Velocity Championship in the past, those guys have been pretty much experts when it comes to Gran Turismo specifically. So it'd be kind of interesting to see, you know, how that turns out. You know, are the kind of like jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to these sim platforms going to do better, or are the experts, the very experts when it comes to this game here, are they the ones who are going to dominate? Well, we're about to find out.
Alright, so tuan-tuan dan puan, ini adalah semi-finals Group A dan kita sekarang ni berada di dalam qualifying. So kita tunggu dan lihat who is going to be getting the best time out of this. So kita bersama dengan Touch Aiman yang kini berada di dalam P keempat. But yes, at this moment, the numbers don't really matter. It's all about you hitting the best timing right now.
Yeah, so 5 minutes in total for them to go out and set the best time. And given Brands Hatch is such a small track, basically it takes about 1 minute 10, 1 minute 13 maybe on these cars in order to try to get around here. So we'll see. Yeah, basically based on that, you know that there's going to be plenty of like flying laps these guys can do, especially if they are able to keep these laps chained together very, very smoothly. Do want to note that what the tire and fuel settings are for this first sprint race here. Right now we're going to be racing at dusk. That's at 21 hours here. The tire rating is set at 2 times the simulation rate, so the tires going to degrade about 2 times faster than real life. Fuel is set at 1x. So what this tells me is that this is actually a really good setting for them to kind of like start the first race off, because with the tire degradation, even though it's at 2x, it's actually relatively low degradation, especially for a game like Gran Turismo. So I'm expecting that they're going to be able to push the tires a little bit more on this race here compared to the later race they will have in the feature. So that means that this is going to be a really good opportunity for the really aggressive, the really high attack drivers to go ahead and try to make up good positions, especially at the start. And they don't have to worry too much about maintaining the fuel, because again, fuel at 1x means that pretty much they can go full tank all the way. There's no mandatory pit stop, I believe, for the sprint race, because it's only going to be 15 minutes from start to finish. So that means that they're going to be pretty much given free reign to push the tires as hard as they want. Don't have to worry about running out of fuel. It's going to be all about how aggressively they can drive on that track.
Yeah, pushing is all we need today. So nampaknya ini adalah di dalam kita masih berada di dalam qualifying. Kita mempunyai lebih kurang dalam 1 minit lebih saja. But yes, looking at how things have been going, one thing I really like about this track, Victor, is the high-speed corners.
Not just a high-speed corners for me. Like Brands Hatch is very much like if a racetrack, or rather if a roller coaster was turned into a racetrack, it probably looks something like Brands Hatch. So many changes in altitude, so many like fast corners, and especially like after we got through the first section here in Brands Hatch, the second sector is full of extremely high-speed sweeping corners. So, you know, you're going to be pushing your car pretty much to the edge of grip, especially on some of these corners here. So you pretty much got to be very, very much in tune with the car itself and how it's going to react, basically, whenever you put it in that kind of situation. So with the SFR being very, very small and light, you can expect it to be quite nimble, especially in the slower sections on the track. But then the extra power that's going and the extra downforce because of the huge wing on the front and the wings in the back, that pretty much gives it a lot of grip and a lot of downforce to use during the faster sections of this track. So it's definitely going to be a very fun car to drive, actually, if you have the opportunity to do so on this track. So, but then for these guys, it's all going to be putting on the best game face here, because they're already trying to set their fastest times here. In fact, if you look at the leaderboard right now, Uzair, he's currently holding the provisional pole in front of our defending champion here, Taj Aiman. So perhaps the first shot in this war that's going to be unfolding between the two drivers here?
Most likely. We never know. Season after season kita dah lihat dah, Victor. But most of the time we see Uzair up against Taj Aiman. Danish Wigneswaran now joining the pack as well in P3 for now. But yes, I mean, you still can't count out the rest of the other races. Anyone can surprise us.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Again, like, you know, qualifying is only going to be able to determine grid position, but given that this is going to be a sprint race, you know, making up positions at the start is going to be absolutely important here. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, our qualifying session is just about ended. Uzair still maintains provisional pole, but can anyone else grasp it away from him? Taj Aiman, we're riding aboard with him right now. He's coming through into the second sector, and with the checker flag already out on the start line, this means that this is pretty much the last lap for him here in order to set his fastest time. But he needs to be able to get to the end there within the next minute. If he doesn't make it to the end there, unfortunately, the lap time here is not going to count. So it's a little bit of a race for these guys. You know, a race to try to figure out how much faster can they increase or basically improve on their lap time, but also a race to get to that finish line before the timer runs out.
I won't lie to you, I like the car.
Oh yeah,
I really love the car, man. It's like it fits so well in Brands Hatch, of course. I mean, most of the time we have seen bulky cars in Brands Hatch. I kind of feel macam sempit sikit. But over here, it looks fabulous, man.
Yes, it's extremely tiny, so you can expect a lot of these guys to take advantage of that when it comes to overtaking. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of 3 wides here. I mean, we even see a lot of like guys going 3 wide through corners here when it comes to the quarterfinals. So I don't expect. I expect that semifinals were pretty much the same.
Alright, so tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kita akan masuk ke dalam race tak lama lagi. So kita tunggu dah lihat who is going to be winning this race. Kita lihat dah segala position untuk semua para pelumba kita. Uzair, Taj Aiman, Danish Wigneswaran di P ketiga, and so far so on. But yes, this is going to be a very important moment right now, Victor.
Yeah, 3 seconds to the start here. It's going to be a standing start, and what a start it is so far. Look at the way Uzair is going, smoking his tires out, trying to make sure that he stays in front of Taj Aiman coming through his first turn. But look at that, they're already piling together for this first one. And look at this, such a long drop to the bottom, and then finally coming all the way up here to take the hairpin at Druids. Braking quite hard here is Kira Lam. He's trying to follow behind Danish, and that's actually going to be able to get him 1 place up here. He's still trying to battle against Kamal Ali as he comes down towards Graham Hill Bend, but Kira Lam tucks in behind, still stays in 5th position so far, keeping it nice and tidy. Now they're going to be coming to Surtees, a very tricky corner and very slow as well. It can feel like practically forever as you wait for the corner to finally open up, and he can finally put pedal to the metal and open up that gas.
Ya, so kita terus saja ke dalam selekok yang kelima. On board kita bersama dengan langsungnya iaitu Kira Lam, dan beliau masih lagi berada di belakang Kamal Ali, and let's see if he's able to overtake ataupun mempunyai peluang untuk memintas. Tetapi so far so good untuk segala top 5, dan ini dia masih lagi kita lihat Kamal Ali cuba untuk mempertahankan posisi beliau dan tidak memberikannya kepada pelumba yang lain. Although he's coming closer and closer, Vita, just waiting for the move.
Yeah, he's gonna wait for the right moment to do so, but the good thing now is that he's just basically towing off of the draft from the disruption, the air that Kamal Ali is providing as a car in front of him. So he just pretty much needs to bide his time and then find a good place on the track to try to overtake. Maybe on the pit straight here, which is a very, very long sprint all the way until the first corner. So this could be a good opportunity for Kira Lam to do maybe some movements, but hasn't quite closed the gap though. So unfortunately, it's come down towards the first turn. He still is stuck in 5th place. It should be interesting to note as well that for the guys in the front, Uzair is already pulling a rather sizable lead now ahead of Touch Aiman, but seems like he's not really requiring to push too hard there. He's already leading the race here.
Ya, masih lagi awal sebenarnya di dalam perlumbaan kita. Muhammad Uzair berada di dalam P yang pertama, diikuti oleh Touch Aiman di dalam P kedua. P ketiga adalah Danik Wigneswaran. P kelima Kamal Ali dan P kelima adalah Kira Lam. But so far I see Muhammad Uzair nampaknya kesorangan di hadapan. Tiada mempunyai any sorts of pressure datang daripada belakang. But I'm very sure Touch Aiman, one of the most talented racers yang kita pernah lihat sebenarnya, dan beliau akan memberikan sedikit tekanan kepada Uzair. But of course, having Touch Aiman right behind you is not a good thing sometimes.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Uzair just now went a little bit onto the sand trap as he came out the exit of that turn there. So hopefully it hasn't eaten too much into the time. It's already lost about 2/10 now compared to Touch Aiman. So Touch now, I think he's going to have some good drafting to do here as we come up towards the final sector here on Brands Hatch. And you can see Touch Aiman basically using every last inch of that track. Practically he's dipping a couple of these tires off of the track into the grass there, so they can take a much wider line should exit here, because he really wants to be able to carry that speed in order to catch up to Uzair by the time he gets to the first turn. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to have been able to make up the gap though, because Uzair has been able to add another 1/10 to his time now, so that's still maintaining a healthy lead in front of Touch Aiman, and certainly going to allow Uzair a bit more breathing room now to defend his pole position.
Ya, kita terus saja di dalam seleko yang ketiga. Tiada perubahan yang drastik yang kita boleh lihat di dalam perlumbaan so far. Nampaknya ada gap antara P1 hingga P kelima sebenarnya. So things might change later on, but at this moment it's all about you getting closer and closer towards your opponent in the front. Over at the back, kita lihat di dalam P kelima adalah Lam, P keenam adalah Rio, P ketujuh Farisman, P ke-8 adalah Siddiq. And adakah kita akan lihat Rio melakukan move terhadap di hadapan itu Lam, tetapi nampaknya ruang itu pun telah ditutup rapat oleh Lam so far.
Yeah, it looked like Kira Lam earlier on had been chasing quite close to Kamal Ali, but now the gap's gone up to 1.7, and I wonder is that due to some driving mistakes or perhaps a forced slowdown there. But whichever the case though, this is now giving Rio a perfect opportunity here to attack for 5th place, and this is going to be quite crucial, especially when it comes to championship points. Remember, the top 5 the points are going to be the ones to get through, so Rio is going to be absolutely using this opportunity now to try to get some points off of Kira Lam, but unfortunately gets blocked before the final corner here at Jim Clark, and he's attempting to try to fight around the inside, and he does find the speed, he does find a position. He just needs to keep himself in front of Kira Lam by that first turn. Can he do it though? Coming to the breaking point, Rio blocks the door, keeps Kira Lam behind, takes it up into P5.
Ya, satu gerakan yang sangat baik daripada Kira Lam sekarang ni, tapi Rio yang memintas beliau, tetapi Kira Lam masih lagi cuba untuk mengikuti beliau daripada belakang, dan ini adalah battle untuk P kelima sekarang ni antara Kira Lam dan juga Rio. And let's see if things are going to change di dalam seleko yang keempat yang akan datang sekarang ni. Nampaknya Lam sudah pun berada di dalam garisan yang luar, tetapi bagaimana sekarang ni? Tetapi masih lagi ditutup rapat oleh Rio sekarang ni, tidak memberikan segala peluang, and Rio melakukan dengan cukup baik and make sure nampaknya Lam tidak mempunyai peluang untuk memintas.
Yeah, Kira actually tried to go for the dive there, but it seems like Rio was able to maintain some good speed through Surtees there, so he managed to get a much better exit out of there compared to Kira, so that's allowing him a lot more gap now, 0.3 of a second ahead of Kira Lam at the moment. So Kira is just going to have to tuck in behind, still carry on that tow, but then it's going to be quite crucial by the time we get into pit straight though, because remember, that's where Rio managed to make the pass to Kira Lam, and with Kira still sticking so close to the behind, he's certainly going to be able to get a good draft. He just needs to get a good exit off of Jim Clark, and that will allow him the speed, the momentum required in order to make the pass. So let's see where he's going to be able to do it this time though, because they are coming up to the pit straight now. It's going to be full gas ahead until they get onto that breaking point for the first turn. So Kira Lam tries to go for a little look on the inside, can't quite find it. He's going to try to outbreak him, but Rio still keeps the door closed, still keeps himself on the racing line, making it impossible for Kira Lam to be able to make it through. Kira Lam tries to have a look on the inside, going through it, but again, had to break a little bit too early here because Rio blocks him off before he's going to be able to make the move. So brilliant defending coming here from our 5th place man.
Ya, apa yang saya sangat suka daripada Rio adalah gerakan beliau untuk menafikan gerakan-gerakan daripada Kira Lam. But I'm very sure Kira Lam tidak akan memutus asa sebenarnya. Beliau cuba untuk mengejar balik Rio sekarang ni, tetapi nampaknya gap tu sudah pun terbuka antara Rio dan juga Kira Lam. But at this moment, Taj Aiman masih lagi cuba untuk mengejar Uzair yang berada di dalam P yang pertama. Kita terus saja di dalam seleko yang ke-6 dan Uzair masih lagi berada di hadapan dengan agak selesa sebenarnya. But of course, pressure itu akan datang juga because you're having the former champion di belakang anda. So let's see how he's able to do something. Nampaknya Kira Lam nampaknya tidak dapat. He just went past Kamal Ali if I got that right, because the camera just panned at the same moment there. But let's see if Kira Lam is able to make a move towards Rio at this moment, man.
Yeah, Kamal has dropped a couple of places there, so that's given Rio now 4th place and Kira Lam himself 5th place. I wonder what happened to Kamal Ali just early on. It happened a little bit off camera there, so unfortunately couldn't quite see what exactly caused him to slow down that much. But for Kira Lam, this is actually going to be a bit of a relief now, because even though he's not, even if he's not going to be able to pass Rio, at least he's still in that competent 5th position there. So right now it's going to be up to Kamal Ali to see if he can make up some time, because we're already about halfway through our race here. 7 minutes to go in race number 1. So past this halfway point here, there's not going to be a lot of time left for them to try to make up some good places.
Yeah, full focus kita lihat di dalam kelihatan Taj Aiman sebenarnya, and let's see if he's able to close down the gap. So far kita lihat Uzair masih lagi berada di hadapan dan beliau adalah pelumba yang terpantas so far dengan 1.28.334. That's the fastest lap yang dipegang oleh Muhammad Uzair. So Muhammad Uzair masih lagi berada di dalam P yang pertama dan P kedua adalah Taj Aiman. P ketiga Danish Vigneswaran. Rio sekarang ni berada di dalam P keempat. Let's see if he's able to challenge Danish Vigneswaran yang berada di dalam P ketiga. Tetapi Taj Aiman nampaknya sudah pun memiliki sedikit advantage daripada sini, and it's all a matter of time until siapa yang melakukan kesilapan, especially late braking.
Yeah, the gap seems to be yo-yoing a lot between Uzair and Taj Aiman. I mean, at certain points at Taj seems to be able to gain some time now, but Uzair seems to be able to get it back after that first sector. At the moment though, Taj is catching up to Uzair, so maybe he could be in a good spot here to perhaps make a last lap pass. He's definitely getting within good range now, especially after the first turn. He's going to have a look at the inside coming through Druids, but decides against it. Not quite going for the move yet. Tucks in behind Uzair. This is a very slow section, of course, after Druids, so it's going to be very crucial for these guys to keep themselves in control of their car throughout this part. Eating outside onto the curb there, they want to gain maximum exit speed, and then now braking very, very gently into Surtees, making sure they stay on that racing line there. Both of them keeping it nose to tail here. Still about 0.6 of a second behind here with Taj Aiman. He's losing time compared to Uzair, so now Uzair is going to be able to use this back stretch in order to get himself a little bit more ahead.
Ya, dan kita mempunyai lebih kurang 5 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race ini. Taj Aiman masih lagi mengikuti Uzair yang berada di dalam P yang pertama. And so far seperti apa Victor mengatakan, nampaknya gap itu dah macam yo-yo dah. Kadang-kadang it's above and sometimes it's closer, but let's see if there is some sort of a mistake daripada Muhammad Uzair sekarang ni. But Muhammad Uzair masih lagi tenang di hadapan. Composure at its finest. That is what you can say for Muhammad Uzair in the last 5 minutes of the race.
I'd love to see what is a lap comparison between Taj and Uzair, because right now Uzair's his fastest time is 1:10 faster than whatever Taj Aiman is able to do. So the fact that he's still able to keep such good pace in front of, remember, a 2-time returning champion here is in itself a very impressive feat here. I mean, remember, all these cars are similar in the power to weight ratio in their setup as well. So the only differential is really these two drivers' capabilities behind the wheel. And given that they're just that close in terms of fastest lap here. It just goes to show how similar in skill level both of these expert drivers are. Kira Lam now, he's having a look around the outside of Rio as we cut to Druids here. It looked like he almost had him on the exit, but Rio was able to close the door just in time, and now that's given him a bit of a gap now to defend as we come towards Surtees. Kamal Ali is still hanging around behind her, but he's still about 1 second off of Kira Lam, so still a lot of time to make up here before he's going to be able to join this battle. But it looked like Kira Lam is still catching Rio, especially off of the main straight there, so perhaps that's going to be the main place that Rio needs to focus on, especially when it comes to his defense.
Ya, di Battle of P5 ni nampaknya belum lagi tamat sebenarnya, Victor. It's still wide open antara Kamal Ali, Kira Lam dan juga Rio at this moment. And let's see if there is someone that is going to be surprising us at this moment. Dan kita lihat Lam masih lagi berada di hadapan di dalam P ke-5. Rio berada di dalam P ke-4 yang diikuti oleh Kamal Ali di dalam P ke-6. So let's see if these racers are able to change their positions in time di dalam 3 minit saja yang berbaki so far. So kita on board bersama dengan Kira Lam sekarang ni. Terus saja di dalam seleko yang ke-9. Rio masih lagi memegang posisi beliau di hadapan di dalam P ke-4, tidak memberikan sedikit peluang juga kepada Kira Lam, tetapi this long straight terus saja di dalam seleko yang pertama, dan nampaknya Rio masih lagi menutup saja segala ruang. Tiada ruang di situ untuk Kira Lam, and Kira Lam masih lagi menunggu for that one opportunity there, Victor.
Yeah, but he needs that speed differential. It's just not coming for him yet, though. He's gotten close quite a few times, but every time he's thinking about making that move, Rio still closes the door on him, forces him to back off a little bit, and that's just buying a lot of time now for a 4th place man. I mean, Rio, remember, he's no slouch when it comes to these competitions. I mean, he took 3rd place back in 2020 of the Velocity Championship, so he knows how to race when it comes to Gran Turismo. Even though Kira Lam has many, practically 2 decades of experience here, he is having a heck of a time using every last bit of his skill here in order to try to find a way past Rio and still keeping pace with him all throughout this battle.
Ya, kurang daripada 2 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race ini. Masih lagi di dalam P pertama Uzair, dan P kedua adalah Taj Aiman. Can we see a change di dalam P1 dan juga P2? Masih lagi terbuka sebenarnya. Taj Aiman still holding on there. Cuba untuk mengikuti Uzair ataupun cuba untuk memintas, menunggu saja kesilapan daripada Uzair, but Uzair has been so calm, composure yang sangat-sangat berkualiti daripada beliau yang masih lagi meletakkan beliau di hadapan. So that is the entire teori yang kita boleh bagi tentang Uzair so far, but there is no drastic changes from P1 to P5 at this moment, Victor.
Things have been settled, I think, even since the early stages of this race now. So it's all about maintenance, and especially for the guys in the lead like Uzair, like it's really about him just maintaining a consistent pace now ahead of Taj Aiman. And as long as he doesn't make any slip-ups, as long as he doesn't cut the track too much, doesn't incur penalties, or doesn't lose control, it seems quite unlikely that Taj is going to be able to find a way past him, even when the gap is constantly shifting, over the course, even a single lap here between these two guys. But, the fact still remains that you need a huge speed differential in order to make a pass on this track here. So if you're just not able to make that amount of difference in speed, it's borderline impossible, especially with a bit of light defending. The guy in front usually will have all the advantages here, especially in the spec series. So Taj Aiman, though, he does know that as long as he stays within touching range of Uzair, that his positioning there is going to keep the pressure going onto him. And now we're coming up to what potentially could be the final lap here as we come across the line. I believe it's just going to be in time now to start our final lap. So Uzair still leading this race now. One more lap practically to go.
Ya, sama seperti apa Victor mengatakan, ini adalah lap yang terakhir di dalam race yang pertama untuk Group A semi-finals. Tiada perubahan yang sangat drastik yang kita boleh lihat di dalam P1 hingga ke P5. Taj Aiman masih lagi berada di dalam P kedua. Kita on nampaknya sedikit kesilapan daripada Taj Aiman tadi. He almost lost control, tetapi masih lagi tenang di situ, and he's back on the track. Uzair masih lagi memegang P pertama, P3 Danish Bigness Warren, P keempat Rio, P kelima Kira Lam. Tapi kita terus saja di dalam seleko yang kelima. This is going to be a very challenging moment, And let's see if Taj Aiman is able to make a change over here, Victor.
It's quite crazy that even though he went so loose on the exit there, he did actually lose that much time. He's still half a second behind Uzair as he had been before that little bit of a spill there. So I mean, that's just impressive that even when you're out of control, you're still able to keep up that pace though. So Taj Aiman, of course, he needs to be able to do this. He needs to stay within that half second in order to keep the pressure going on Uzair, because he's hoping that Uzair is going to be the one to make the mistake, especially being the lead car. But nevertheless, though, still this battle, I think, is not going to be ending well for Taj Aiman, though, because Uzair has been able through and through to keep the lead throughout the race. He comes around the Jim Clark blend in order to get to the main straight, and now he's going to be taking the checkered flag to win the first race of Group A.
Ya, terbaik daripada Uzair. P kedua untuk Taj Aiman. P ketiga Danish Vigneshwaran. Dan kita menunggu saja P keempat untuk Rio. P kelima Kira Lam. But what a race it has been, Victor. Not much of the actions that we saw. There was a little bit here and there. Tetapi one thing for sure is the consistency of them. How they started the race, how they ended the race. Tiada kesilapan yang sangat besar. Mereka ni memang tahu. Mereka ni berada di dalam semi-final. They are at one step closer di dalam grand final. You cannot be making mistakes here, Victor. So of course, credit goes to them. Fantastic racing. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, like, we're talking about a top 20 Gran Turismo drivers in Malaysia. Nothing short of perfection is going to be enough here, especially when you're talking about getting into that grand final. Literally the top 10, you know, if you want to be able to get there, you have to be absolutely perfect in the way you perform. So that perfection is definitely showing so well here, especially in the hands of Taj Aiman as well as Muhammad Uzair. But now that we've already finished race number 1 now, it's going to be a reverse grid going into race number 2, so that means that now Taj Aiman and Muhammad Uzair are both going to have
they're going to be at the back.
They're going to be fighting their way from the back there to see who can make up more places. And
I mean, that is what I want to see.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw from the start, of course lah. I mean, we know lah, Victor kan. When you have a very good perfect start, you maintain that all the way till the end of the race. Fair enough. Good racing so far. But now you're put at the back. And there will be other races right in front of you. There's going to be extra challenges coming up for you. So this is the real challenge di dalam race yang kedua. So kepada anda yang sedang menonton secara langsung, ini adalah Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Esports Championship 2022. Kita baru saja tamat semi-finals. Semi-finals yang pertama di dalam Group A sebenarnya. So kita akan masuk ke dalam race yang kedua tak lama lagi. So kita akan bersama dengan Nas sekarang ni. So Nas, take it over my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Cax. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthews Isaac. And now we are with the race winner for race 1, semi-final 1, Group A, Encik Muhammad Uzair. Perasaan anda sejak menang season pertama setakat ni masuk ke final saja. Dan kalau tak salah saya, musim kelepas tempat yang keempat, ya betul?
Ya betul.
Jadi macam mana perasaan anda pada hari ini?
Unexpected, sebab saya tak sangka race ni begitu sukar. So saya expect yang lagi susah before this, and then harap tahun ni untuk tebusan lah daripada yang tahun lepas punya.
Tebusan Alamak. Okey, Encik Uzair boleh tolong tarik sikit mas tu, jadi sebab kita tak dengar sangat kan. Baru kita nampak muka handsome dia. Dan nampak ni, walaupun sim racing ya, berpeluh-peluh dia, tengok dia. Macam racing betul lah. Jadi sekarang ni, Taj Aiman yang merupakan defending champion kita 2 tahun berturut-turut. Apakah perasaan anda beating him in this first race? Awak rasa dia bagi chance ke memang atur strategi?
Saya rasa dia bagi chance. Mungkin dia bagi chance sebab saya tak expect dia yang lebih sebab saya expect dia lebih jauh daripada apa yang saya sangkakan lah. So mungkin tahun ni memang saya rasa sangat sengit lah untuk saingan dengan dia.
Sangat sengit kerana Group A ni merupakan banyak juga drivers yang mempunyai banyak pengalaman. Jadi di sini untuk race tu kita akan pergi reverse grid 30 minit. Adakah strategi anda akan tetap sama?
Tak pasti sebab strategi akan berubah-ubah bergantung pada opponent.
Itu dia a thinking racer, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, thank you very much Encik Muhammad Uzair. Good luck for the next race. Dan kita dah bersedia untuk race tu insyaAllah. Victor, Matthew, it's over to you, and let's take a look at the highlights of race 1. Over to you.
Alright, so nampaknya inilah highlights ataupun boleh mengatakan the highlight daripada race yang pertama di dalam Group A semi-finals, Victor. Not much of action we saw, but one thing we saw is consistency of them.
Exactly. I mean, again, the fact that Uzair was able to keep himself consistently in front of Touch Ayman throughout the entire race, even though Touch Ayman has been keeping half a second on average behind him. I mean, the Touch is, even though Uzair says that he felt that Touch has been giving him a bit of a chance, it feels like the whole time actually Touch has been just keeping that pressure going, but Uzair just didn't crack at all. You know, this was where Kira Lam actually lost a lot of time by going off track there, so that allowed Rio the opportunity to overtake him on the main straight, and mostly the battle has just been between the the first and second guy, as well as the fourth and fifth guy, or rather previously fifth and sixth, because up to that point Kamal Ali had a bit of a spill as well, and that dropped him down to 6th place, just outside of that top 5 for this race here. So he's definitely going to be looking to see whether he can make things up in the second race for sure. But with Uzair already firing the first shot in this rally here, I wonder what Touch Ayman's response will be when it comes to race number 2, because remember, the reverse grid, Touch Ayman is going to be starting in front of Uzair that time around, and it's going to be a battle of who can make overtakes. So I would say the Touch has plenty of opportunities in our next race here to put some good answers to what Uzair is going to be able to do here in our first race.
Absolutely, dan kita juga nampak sedikit perlawanan antara Rio dan juga Kira Lam sebenarnya. They were changing positions a little bit here and there, tetapi this is the main highlight, of course, Touch Ayman and also Uzair, man.
Yeah, just absolutely pushing each other as hard as they can, even from this first race itself. And this is going to determine a lot, because remember, when we come to race 2, they're still going to be racing on the same track. So these guys know more or less what to expect, especially with regards to their most closest rival. So the big difference is, of course, the reverse grid mixing up the positions a little bit. Now with Touch Ayman in front with Uzair, is Uzair still going to be able to get a good start, in race number 2 in order to get past him, from the first lap onwards, or is that going to be a long and protracted battle, especially with all the other cars surrounding them, in front of them, being a bit of an obstacle, a bit of impedance there, especially for those who are trying to get themselves up onto the top.
Alright, so jom kita lihat race results di dalam Group A, especially di dalam race yang pertama untuk semi-finals. So tempat pertama adalah Muhammad Uzair yang akan membawa pulang 25 mata sebenarnya. Tempat kedua adalah Touch Izrin dengan 18 mata. Tempat ketiga Danish Wigneshwaran dengan 15 mata. Tempat keempat Rio dengan 12 mata. Tempat kelima Kira Lam dengan 10 mata. Tempat keenam Muhammad Kamal dengan 8 mata. Tempat ketujuh Ahmad Siddiq dengan 6 mata. Tempat ke-8 Haris Syami dengan 4 mata. Tempat ke-9 Nur Farisman dengan 2 mata. Tempat ke-10 Chandra Mauli dengan 1 mata sahaja. Your overall views on the result there, Victor?
I would like to say that, even for those guys who are starting at the bottom there, remember, with the reverse grid, they will still have a chance, to fight for even the top spots when it comes to the second race itself. So, Chandra Mauli especially, I'm still bewildered at the fact that, this guy qualified into the semifinals here primarily using his controller instead of a steering wheel like the other competitors here. So, unfortunately, this time around, coming to this on-ground competition, he has to use the wheel just like everyone else. So it's going to be a bit of adjustment period, especially remembering the fact that he himself is faster on the controller, he says, compared to actually using a steering wheel. So I wonder how he's going to improve, I think, as time goes on, because this is literally the first time he's managed to make it this far in the competition, and I'm really curious to see how he's going to be able to perform. But especially for Touch Ayman, for Uzair, these guys have already gotten the lion's share of the points now. So like I said, half the work is already done coming to this. So this is just this second race here is just going to be a matter of how many positions they can make up, especially given that they're starting from the back. So the more guys they're able to pass on the track there, the better it is as far as the rivalry between 2 goes. So I'm still going to be curious to see whether Uzair is still going to be able to keep himself just ahead of Touch Ayman, even in the points itself, because what a story that will be, the defending champion now having to defend against the returning champion here in the form of Uzair.
I mean, if you look at us, we are enjoying this because we know the rivalry. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, di dalam semula most of the musim sebenarnya, musim sebelum ini di dalam 2022, 21, we have seen both of them battling each out dan juga pushing each other every single time. Tadi pun kita lihat interview daripada Nas dan juga Uzair. Uzair mengatakan race ini sangat sengit. That means, the race is pretty tight today. So it's very wide open. Anything can happen at any time. So this is race pertama sahaja. This is only race 1. There's a long way to go sebenarnya, Victor. So let's see what's going to be happening.
Yeah, it's going to be racing all the way throughout this day, isn't it? I mean, we still have the Group B races later on. It's going to be the same track as well. So, it's going to be a race all day long. We started from this morning. We're pretty much going to end at the night there with finding out who our top 10 in the grand finals are. So, as for the competitors especially, it's really pretty much this is the highest pressure situation for them to be in here, because one simple slip up any lap of this race of the races they have at all, and that pretty much goes your chances really of getting in the top 5, because again, if you end up like all the way at the back of the race there, how are you going to be able to make up those places, you know?
Definitely. So that is something that they really need to watch out for. So jadi kita akan masuk ke dalam race yang kedua tak lama lagi. Mereka ni sedang melakukan persiapan yang terakhir before we get into race number 2. But I'm really looking forward to this because it's going to be reverse grid. Tash, Aiman dan juga Uzair akan berada di dalam P yang agak belakang sebenarnya. So they need to get past a lot of obstacles di hadapan ni, Victor.
Yeah, but what's going to kind of help them a little bit, I think, is going to be the change in the tire and the fuel ballot when it comes to this feature race here. So this time it's going to be, timing-wise, it's going to be a little bit earlier. It's going to be at about 8:30 in-game time, so it's a little bit earlier than the dusk time that we saw in race number 1. Tires are still going to be 2 times the simulation rate, but this time fuel 4 times the simulation rate. So that's going to be fuel used up 4 times faster than normal. So
are we going to go for a pit stop?
Well, the thing is that there already is a mandatory pit stop required for this feature race. So anytime during this race, the drivers will have to decide when they want to take at least 1 pit stop during the race. But with the fuel, being this quickly burnt out, I wouldn't be surprised if some guys would try to underfuel themselves here in order to gain themselves a lot of time, especially in the early, the first stint, of this race here. But the thing is that if they're not too careful, if they run out of fuel for their stint, especially if they end up having to run the single stop and they don't fill the tanks up full enough, they might end up having to take another pit stop again to refuel before the end of the race there, and that's going to cost them a lot of time. So now they already know exactly how much fuel is going to be consumed in this race here. It's going to be critical for them to get it just right. You want to fuel it so that you don't carry too much extra weight during the start, but you also want to plan your pit stop to ensure that you will have enough fuel to end the race with after that first stop.
Of course. Kita dah tahu dah bagaimana mereka ni akan mengaturkan strategi mereka, especially we know the fuel is going to be burning a lot more faster compared to the first race. So in the previous seasons, I'm not sure if you remember, but we have seen few races that did not finish the race because the tank went empty.
Yeah,
the tank went empty. Yeah. So we do not want this kind of incidents to happen, but you never know. Might be watching racing for the wrong reasons, but yes. This is racing anyways, but yeah.
It's hardly a race when you're out of fuel anyways, so we just hope that that doesn't happen. But again, when you're in the heat of the battle, you're using up more fuel than you are expecting sometimes, or maybe you just made a slight miscalculation. Those kind of things do happen. So they just have to make sure, especially for those guys who are absolute experts when it comes to this game, that they've planned it to a T here. Because remember, just like with the way they race, it has to be perfect in every single regard. How they race, how they plan the strategy, and how they're going to make their way up to the top.
Yeah, so jadi kita akan masuk di dalam race yang kedua tak lama lagi once everything is well ready for us to go into race number 2. Alright, so one thing for sure is that I'm really looking forward to kepada anda yang sedang menonton secara langsung di dalam Facebook dan social media, make sure anda like dan juga share live stream ini kepada rakan-rakan anda, because this is going to be very exciting. Kita nak tengok siapakah yang akan masuk ke dalam grand final, especially di dalam dua-dua grup di dalam semifinals ni. So kita tunggu dan lihat.
Yeah, and of course, any of you guys who are living close to Wanatama, why don't you drop over here? We're
over here.
live in the old wing itself. You can go ahead and have a look at some of the activations here. You can also pick up some cool merch from the GR Garage. We got t-shirts and hoodies as well for you guys who want to bring home some good GR merch. So do check us out over here in Wanatama, because we're going to be starting our second race very soon now, and this is going to be a doozy, because again, I want to see how Taj Ayman and Uzair are going to be continuing this rivalry, you know, between these two champions of the Velocity Championship. Who's going to be the one that comes on top on race number 2? We're going to be finding out in a few moments.
Alright, so ini adalah race yang kedua. Kita lihat dah race yang pertama dengan cukup hebat. So jadi lampu pun dipadamkan, and let's go racing on tak on. Kita lihat Chandra berada di dalam P yang pertama. Satu perfect start yang cukup baik Farisman. Bagaimana dengan Farisman? Tetapi Haris Zefri terus saja memintas mengambil P yang pertama di dalam Sleko yang pertama. Chandra drop ke dalam P kedua, P ketiga untuk Farisman. And this is going to be a long journey. Terus saja kita lihat bagaimana Chandra cuba untuk mengekori Haris sekarang ini untuk memberikan tekanan. Tetapi masih lagi kita lihat Haris memegang saja di dalam P yang pertama. Diikuti di belakang P keempat. Kira Lam cuba untuk masuk ke dalam P ketiga. Dan bagaimana beliau akan cuba, kita tunggu dan lihat di dalam Sleko keempat. Wow.
Taj Ayman is already up to 5th place. He cuts on the inside here, coming through the
That guy's a cheat code, man.
This guy literally flew his way to the middle of the grid now and is mixing it up with Uzair, with Farisman and Kira Lam. So now we're coming through Hawthorne now, going up to Dingle-Dell. This is going to be a very critical corner here. And Taj Ayman makes up a couple of places through that. He's already in 3rd place. Now he's going to be battling Kal Ali for 2nd place. Now he takes the inside as easily as he eats the cake. Now it's only one more person left in the front. There is Haris Zefri. He has a 2.4 second gap now ahead of Taj Ayman. Can't Taj close the gap though, because looking at the pace he's had in this first lap itself, I wouldn't be surprised he will catching Haris Zefri by the middle of this race.
Yeah, out of this world daripada Taj Ayman sekarang ni yang berada di dalam P kedua, dan misi beliau adalah untuk mengejar Haris Zefri yang berada di dalam P yang pertama. But Tando, what a way to go up to P2, man. Daripada posisi agak belakang sebenarnya, tetapi terus saja berada di dalam P yang kedua. Itu adalah Taj Ayman sekarang ni. So Haris Zefri, nampaknya Taj Ayman datang dengan cukup pantas di dalam P yang kedua. And let's see if there's going to be any sorts of changes di dalam Sleko yang akan datang. Kita berada di dalam Sleko yang ketiga. Kita on board bersama dengan Haris Zefri yang masih lagi cuba mengatakan, please don't come closer there, Taj Ayman. That's what he can think of right now, or just pray he does not get the timing right over here. But one thing for sure is this man is going to chase him down.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, what's going to be stronger than prayer? Your own skills, your own 2 hands. I mean, Harry's going to have to rely on that pretty much, because Taj Ayman is catching him, especially with the incredible speed coming out of Hawthorne Strait. So Taj Ayman now is 1.8 seconds. He's already made up about 4 tenths, maybe 5 tenths of time now compared to Harry Zefri. So sooner or later, he might be catching them soon. But quite important as well, he's opening a gap between himself and Uzair. Now, Uzair, early on in the first lap, was in 6th place. He's already overtaken Danish Wigaswaran now to put himself up into 5th. Now, next person on the menu here is going to be Kira Lam. And given how hard Kira Lam has been battling with Rio early on in race 1, now he's battling with Kamal Ali for potentially a podium position here. And it looked like he almost had a look around the outside there. He's going to take a wider line, actually, in order to try to gain maximum speed on the exit of the Jim Clark curve. And now he's attempting to get a drop of Kamal Ali, but still not able to overtake him by the time we get to the first turn. He's having a little bit of a look at the inside, but didn't quite have the speed nor the gap required in order to overtake Kamal Ali for that 3rd place.
Ya, satu perjalanan yang agak panjang sebenarnya di dalam race ini, tetapi kita dihidangkan dengan pelbagai aksi yang cukup menarik di dalam first few laps sebenarnya. So kita on board bersama dengan Kira Lam di dalam P yang keempat, dan di dalam P ketiga adalah Kamal Ali yang masih lagi cuba untuk mempertahankan posisi beliau daripada nampaknya Uzair sekarang ni dalam P kelima there, Victor. So he is climbing up, but it's taking few moments to come all the way to the top. Dan ini dia Taj Ayman yang kini berada di dalam P yang kedua, masih lagi cuba untuk mengejar Haris Zefri yang berada di dalam P yang pertama. Nampaknya Kira Lam, dan itu dia pintasan yang baik daripada Kira Lam. Tetapi sekarang bagaimana sekarang ni untuk Kira Lam? No, he's still shutting it down there. Kamal Ali masih lagi menutup ruang, masih lagi menafikan gerakan-gerakan daripada Kira Lam. Tetapi sekarang Kira Lam terus saja kita lihat di dalam seleko yang ke-8 berada di dalam garisan ke dalam, tetapi ditutup rapat sekali lagi oleh Kamal Ali. But Kamal Ali is just showing no mercy towards Kira Lam, man.
As long as he's on the racing line there, he's guaranteed to have the speed through those sequence of corners. So Kira unfortunately had to react every time to come out breaks there, because he's literally blocking the way for him to get through. But then now is he going to be able to find a way through? He's going to hook around on back flight. He's going to try to outbrake him coming to that first turn, try to carry the speed. But by the time to get through, Kira Lam now is in P3, but Kamal Ali still hangs on beside him. And look at who's coming through as well. Uzair now is using the opportunity in order to cut himself into 4th place. So Kamal Ali loses 2 places now, drops to P5. Uzair now follows Kira Lam's lead and gets himself into 4th. Kira Lam in 3rd.
Ya, saya dah mengatakan tadi dah, Victor, they are just waiting for the right time untuk melakukan movement-movement. Dan sekarang ni kita lihat Uzair berada di dalam P4, and nampaknya beliau masih mendekati Kira Lam sekarang ni. And Kira Lam really needs to watch out for this moment. Uzair di dalam P3, pintasan yang cukup cemerlang daripada Uzair. And now he's going for Touch Aiman, but this battle is still pretty tight.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's still 2.5 seconds, but no, it looks like Kira Lam's going to try to fight back through Dingledale. Is he going to get an insight? It looks like he does, actually. He closes himself in front of Uzair, ensuring that he maintains that 3rd position. But Uzair continues to try to fight back through the center here. Kamal Ali now getting himself into the mix here. This is a 3-way battle for 3rd place. Who's going to be able to come on top? For now, it's still going to be Kira Lam in 3rd place now as he passes Uzair and stays in the podium position. But Uzair continues to fight, continues to try to find a trap. Now tries to find a good exit out here onto the pit straight. Can he still maintain this speed though? Look at that, so close as it come across the line.
Ini dah 4-way battle dah, Victor. Dan bagaimana sekarang kita akan lihat di dalam seleko yang pertama yang akan datang sekarang ni. Kira Lam masih lagi berada di dalam P3, dan P4 adalah Uzair, P5 untuk Kamal Ali. And let's see there's going to be any sorts of changes. Kita lihat Danish cuba masuk sekarang ni untuk memintas Kamal Ali. Tetapi Danish weakness warren memintas juga akhirnya mengambil P5 sekarang ni, meninggalkan Kamal Ali di dalam P6.
That was elbows out through Druids there. Danish now putting himself out to P5. Now he can actually get himself into the mix there between Kira and Uzair here. And look at that. Uzair almost had a look at the inside through Surtees. This is going to compromise Kira Lam's exit. And indeed, Uzair now takes the lead through the straight now. But Kira, of course, will be able to tuck in behind to get a toe. Will he be able to fight back through Dingledale? They need to carry the speed all the way through these very, very fast sequence of right-hand turns. Kira Lam now staying on the racing line, staying right on Uzair's tail. Has a look on the inside there, cancels his idea, still sticks himself behind Uzair. He wants to be able to keep himself within a half a second gap by the time to get through this part here. But now it's going to be all about the exit through here. Can he maintain the speed? Doesn't look quite like it, because Uzair is still maintaining his 3rd position, still maintains good speed as they come through the starting lost corner.
Ya, tekanan masih lagi diberikan terhadap Uzair sekarang ni yang berada di dalam P3, tetapi P4 adalah untuk Kira Lam. Dan kita tunggu saja, is there going to be any sorts of changes di dalam P3 sekarang ni. Dan di dalam P4 kita lihat Kira Lam masih lagi agak nampaknya belakang dengan 0.5 saat sekarang ni. Dan kita tunggu dan lihat what is going to be happening di dalam 22 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race yang kedua semi-finals Group A sekarang ni. At this moment kita lihat Danish Warren berada di dalam P5. He had a little bit of a changes in position there, Victor, from P6 going up onto P5. And let's see if he's able to give some challenges over here, although they are looking like they're losing it out on the back.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think with all the defending that Uzair and Kira Lam have been doing there, that's actually pushing them back a little bit. And that's putting the 4th, 5th, and 6th place guys into play now. Touch Aiman, like I said, he would be catching Haris Shami by the time they get to the middle point in this race. I mean, we're about a third of the way through, and Touch Aiman is already within shooting distance of Haris Zephyr. Zephyr Ray is right now about 1.5 seconds ahead now. They've definitely been etching away at that time Touch Aiman has all this while, but it's a little bit harder, especially when you don't have anyone to kind of borrow a toe off of. So until Touch Aiman can get within touching distance of Haris, he's still going to have to rely on his excellent time attack skills here in order to make up the difference in terms of lap time. And so far, so good. I mean, he set a 1:29.3, and that's already 2/10 faster than whatever Haris Zephyr Ray is able to do.
Yeah, so nampaknya Touch Aiman, he's going into the pits there, Victor, is it?
Yes, he went into the pits.
He went into the pits. pits.
Yep, Touch Ayman's going to be taking his first mandatory pit stop. He's starting on the medium tire. So Haris Zephyr Ray is still going to continue on in the lead here. Of course, the drivers can decide when they want to go to the pits anytime during this race here. So looks like Touch Ayman now is going to try to go for the undercut here, basically undercutting everyone by pitting early on here. No doubt we'll be using a little bit fresher tires, but the thing is that as the race will be going on, he's going to be on a slightly worn out tire by the time we get to his late stages of this race. So he's really banking on the fact that he was able to make up lots of places at the start of this race here in order to set up this strategy here. So whether or not that undercut will work, we'll have to see whether or not that will happen over the course of this race.
Ya, so nampaknya ada 20 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race ini. Kita on board bersama dengan Kira Lam yang berada di dalam P ketiga, diikuti oleh Muhammad Uzair di dalam P yang kedua. Kita lihat almost half a tank dah untuk fuel consumption beliau. So he'll be going into the pits very soon, or else he'll be out of fuel and you'll be out of the race, and that is not usually what you see. But although we have seen those kind of things before anyways, but yes, nampaknya belakang dengan 0.3 saat saja right behind Uzair sekarang ni, Victor. Anything can happen at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, still Kira Lam is maintaining himself quite well behind Uzair and just ensuring that he's maintaining that toe as long as he's on that straight. So the thing is that Danish is also trying to catch up here. He wants to make this a three-way battle. So he needs to be able to close up though much more than that in order to be able to join in on this little fight here. But Kira Lam so far hasn't been able to find a way past Uzair quite yet. But given that he's in third place now, this is an even better result compared to what he had in race number 1. So even if he maintains this position, he's already benefiting massively after already making up those positions. One guy that's going to be in a little bit of trouble here perhaps is Muhammad Kamal Ali, because now he's being chased by Noor Farisman, and Farisman actually gets a much better exit out here, forced to kind of back off a little bit on the Hawthorne straight, but he's definitely getting the toe of Kamal Ali now. Can he get alongside? He's going to try to attack around the outside, which is going to be a bit difficult actually for Farisman, but can he carry the speed though? Kamal Ali has the racing line, but Farisman has the speed, gets him on the exit now, still stays side by side through Dingeldale. They're going to be going too wide all throughout this few sectors, I think, because Farisman though, he's still maintaining lots of good speed around the outside here, constantly bumping tires against Kamal Ali, but forced to back up a little bit by the time to get to Sterling Moss.
Ya, segala aksi yang kita lihat antara pertarungan Kamal Ali dan juga Farisman, tetapi Kamal Ali still somehow made it to P6, man. He's still holding on to it, and that is what quite surprising. Walaupun kita lihat Farisman mempunyai speed di dalam beberapa Sleko, especially on the exits, tetapi kita tunggu dan lihat if there is going to be any changes di dalam Sleko yang pertama yang akan datang tak lama lagi. But the gap is pretty much widening up antara Kamal Ali dan juga Farisman dengan 0.3 saat. So it's just waiting for Kamal Ali in case of making any sorts of mistakes. Things can change absolutely drastic. But at this moment, Touch Ayman is the fastest man on the track, clocking at 1.29.035.
That's actually almost like 129 flat there for Touch Ayman.
Yeah.
He's so fast in that car now. So the thing is that he's banking on this undercut here to basically be able to get ahead of a lot of these guys running in front here the moment they will be taking their pit stops. And knowing that he's already made up so many places in his first stint there, I wouldn't be surprised if he finds himself fighting all the way back up to the top 3 there. The big question in my mind though is whether or not his undercut is going to be super effective against both Uzair and Haris Zephyr Ray, because both of these guys are definitely looking to try to pit around the midpoint of this race here, which is going to be the most logical place if you're going to be taking a one-stop strategy here. So Touch Ayman, for the most part, is going to be used. He actually started on the medium tire, then now went to the pits for the soft tire, and very much, I think, is going to try to maintain these soft tires all the way to the end of the race. So the fact that he's still pushing and is still setting like the fastest lap here goes to show that, you know, even though he's going for that long strategy here, he's still pushing extremely hard.
He is definitely.
Another kind of calculus I'm thinking about as well is that given that the fuel degradation is this high, could there be a potential here for some of these guys to go for 2-stop strategies, you know, instead of a single stop? Because again,
they're really pushing the car anyway, so
yeah. they're pushing the car. The thing is that Taj Ayman is more or less fully fueled, so I would expect that he should be able to take this race within the one stop, but it would be kind of interesting if any of these drivers decide to, you know, take that risk, underfuel themselves a little bit and try to push for fastest lap after fastest lap in order to maximize the speed of each of the two stints there in order to make up for having to take the extra pit stop. So definitely.
Oh, look at the timing he just clocked over there.
Definitely different calculus here, but the fact that Taj Ayman is still continuing to set another fastest lap tells me that maybe that strategy might be on the cards here, given that he's on the softer compound than when he started his first stint.
Ya, so masih lagi kita lihat on board bersama dengan Taj Ayman yang berada di dalam P ke-5. Kalau kita lihat di dalam skala top 5, P pertama masih lagi dipegang oleh Haris Zafri, P kedua untuk Muhammad Uzair, P ketiga untuk Kira Lam, dan P ke-5 sekarang ni untuk Taj Ayman. I wonder what's happening in the back there, man.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys have already gone to the pits there, so Taj Ayman has already inherited 3 places now thanks to this undercut strategy. But now Kira Lam and Uzair are both jumping into the pits now, and the thing is, Taj Ayman's already had the main straight now, so I think he's going to be able to overtake the two of them, and yes, he does. He gets himself up into 3rd place now, just behind Rio Pandukusuma, as well as Haris Zafri, who both have yet to take their pit stops. So there's still about 10 seconds of a gap now to Rio. Not sure how many seconds to Haris Zafri, but I'm expecting it's probably within that 20-second window here. So if all goes to plan here, Taj Ayman might inherit the lead here after Haris and Rio both take their mandatory pit stops.
Yeah, climbing it pretty slow and steady. Kita lihat daripada Taj Ayman sekarang ni on board bersama dengan Haris Zafri yang masih lagi berada di dalam P yang pertama. So he will be going into the pits very, very shortly there, Victor. Looking at his fuel consumption over there, it is dropping down, and I'm not sure if he's really pushing. But yeah, look at this battle sekarang ni. Kita lihat Kira Lam, nampaknya ada sedikit pertarungan antara Danish Wigneswaran, Kira Lam dan juga Sidek sekarang ni. And what is going to be happening over here? Is this a battle for P5 at this moment? Sidek berada di dalam garisan yang keluar dan garisan ke dalam dipegang oleh Kira Lam, dan nampaknya gerakan yang sangat baik dipamerkan oleh Kira Lam so far, menafikan gerakan-gerakan daripada Sidek, tetapi masih lagi Sidek datang saja daripada garisan daripada luar, tetapi exitnya masih lagi kita lihat dinafikan oleh Kira Lam. Man, we were focusing too much at the front. We lost this battle for P5.
I would say Kira is actually in a very dangerous position. Okay, Uzair, he's on a fresh set of tires, so he's able to get past Siddiq here. But I was going to say that the thing that's working against Kira Lam in this battle here particularly is that Siddiq, he hasn't taken his pit stop yet, so he's actually quite light in terms of fuel load, and that's actually giving him less weight compared to Kira Lam. Now, of course, both of them have already pulled ahead in the lead here. Siddiq goes in to take the pits as Uzair now gets a very good draft, tries to attack around the outside here on the first turn, can't quite make the move yet, but now attacks on the inside to switch around here as he gets to Druids. Can he outbreak him? He's going to get himself alongside here, elbow his way into 4th place, but Kira fights back. Kira tries to get himself in behind Uzair, and he can continue to try to bring this fight forward in true Graham Hill and perhaps even to Surtees.
Yeah, one thing yang saya boleh lihat daripada Uzair, bila beliau dah ada di dalam posisi yang baik, he will do his very best to defend, and his focus will straight away switch to the driver in the front. So kita tunggu dah lihat how things are going to be changing so far. Kira Lam right now having a fantastic race so far di dalam race yang kedua compared to di dalam race yang pertama. Dan Danish Wigneswaran juga di dalam P ketiga sekarang ni, dan kita lihat Muhammad Uzair is chasing this man. Kita lihat dah dengan pelbagai interview yang dikatakan oleh dua-dua pelumba ni, Danish has a point to prove over here, and Uzair on the other side being much of a fair man in this race. But in the end of the day, it's all about how you put yourself on the track.
Yeah, so far you can see the effect that the extra fuel load is having on Uzair's time. I mean, in his first stint before the pit stop, he was setting 129s very consistently. Now his first kind of flying lap after his pit stop lap, he's only just set at 132. So he's now trying to chase up to Danish Wigneswaran, who's also already taken his pit stop. So the both of them will be on similar fuel loads, I expect. Haris Zafri has actually caught up to Chandra, who is in 10th place right now. So Haris is actually on the verge of lap lapping one of our competitors here as he come towards the main straight. So blue flags are being waved now for Chandra to make way for the current race leader, Haris Zephyr, who at the moment, might I remind you, has not taken his pit stop yet. So Taj Ayman, who is currently in second place, may have an opportunity to cut him as soon as Haris takes his pit stop. Now it's going to be up to Haris here to try to maintain a good enough lead here so that hopefully he'll still be somewhere in the top 3 by the time he comes out of the pits.
Oh, this is quite of a gamble there, Victor. We have seen lots of dramas that have actually happened, especially when you're taking a very high risk like this. But let's see if there's going to be any sorts of changes. So far in P1, it is still going to be Haris Zephyr is yet to be going into the pits. P2 for Taj Ayman, P3 for Danish Vigneson, and P4 for Zaire. P5, it's going to be Kira Lam. So yes, let's see what's going to be happening in this last 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, still 10 minutes ago, and Zephyr is just going for, you know, the long first stint, and then hopefully maybe keeping this, allowing those tires to last until close to the end of the race before having to take his mandatory pit stop. So the thing is, he's still about 13 seconds in front of Taj Ayman. So by like logic, I think Taj Ayman will be able to overtake him if Haris goes into pits now. And I'm quite doubtful, especially at this stage with the tires already worn out quite a bit, that even with the weight differential, I don't know if Zephyr is going to be able to maintain this kind of lead here, because it seems to be dropping steadily and steadily as Taj Ayman consistently setting 128s all throughout. I mean, he had taken ample time here to burn off the fuel to get some good heat in those tires, and then at this point now, he's just going to be setting flying lap after flying lap here in hopes of catching up to Zephyr Ray. But the pit stop, that's going to determine everything here as far as the lead of this race number 2 is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Kalau kita lihat kalau kita bandingkan race yang pertama dan juga race yang kedua, banyak perubahan drastik yang kita boleh lihat, especially this battle antara Taj Ayman dan juga Uzair. But at this moment, Victor, we see drastic changes. We see Taj Ayman right now holding on to P2. Very soon might be P1 once Haris goes into his pits, of course. But I think Taj Ayman right now is just trying to show a point over here.
Yeah,
he's making a statement, man.
Look, I was going to mention, like, looking at the grass there, you can see clear tire marks of where Taj Ayman keeps dipping his tires onto the outside there to maximize his line on the final turn. Rio Pantukusuma now having an opportunity to fight Kira Lam. He has a draft now coming to his final turn. He needs to set up the exit here perfectly, though, in order to make the pass, but it seems like Kira Lam is just defending so hard around the inside there that Rio is just going to be forced to try to attack around the outside, and it's going to put him a bit of a disadvantage by the time to get to the braking point for the first turn. Now it looks like Rio is going to try to get alongside, can't quite make it through the braking there. He's going to try to switch around here, the old switcheroo around the Druids there. It looks like Rio might just be a little bit ahead by the time they brake for Druids. And look at that, following behind him, Kamal Ali now getting himself into P6 here ahead of Kira Lam. Kira now drops 2 places.
Yeah, how did this happen? So nampaknya battle untuk P5 masih lagi terbuka antara Rio, Kamal Ali dan juga Kira Lam sekarang ni. Dan kita lihat Kamal Ali masih lagi cuba mendekati dengan Rio sekarang ni. Yang Rio masih lagi memegang pada P yang kelima. Will we be seeing any sorts of changes di dalam seleko yang kelima yang akan datang tak lama lagi. Downhill sekarang ni dan breaking point sangat-sangat important sekarang ni. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Kamal Ali masih lagi mempertahankan P yang ke-6. And yes, of course, they are trying their very best not to have any sorts of incidents. We do not want any sorts of incidents there, Victor. But at this moment, Kamal Ali is still chasing down Rio. I mean, I did not expect that this P5 is going to be open again.
Again, I mean, the difficult part about trying to pass in this section here is that it's such a fast series of corners. The ideal line is still that racing line. So there's, even if you deviate from that line a little bit, you know, the amount of time or you might gain or lose is just not going to be enough to actually catch up to those guys who are still staying on the racing line consistently throughout. So that's kind of the difficulty for Kira Lam. He really, the only good places to pass here pretty much is on the main straight or the long backstretch that is Hawthorne's straight. So for now, Kira is just going to have to bank off of 2 sources of tow here, both in the form of Rio Pantukusuma as well as Mama Kamal. Oh, Kamal Ali has already spun around.
No.
What happened?
No.
Let's look at the replay here. Looks like Kamal actually comes through the first turn. He looked like quite well, but just hit the kiss of death from the curbs there. Unfortunately, 8 up Kamal Ali forced him into a spin and unfortunately lost him 2 places now. So the battle for P5 is only between 2 characters now, and that's Rio and Kira Lam.
I mean, I gotta take back what I said just now. You know, there's not such an incident. I hope there will be not any sort of incident happen. And boom, where we saw one of the racers spinning out of nowhere. But yeah, benda ni sangat-sangat terbuka. Benda ni memang boleh berlaku, but it is what it is. So di dalam 6 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race yang kedua, semi-finals Group A, dan kita tunggu dah lihat who is going to be having those leads at this moment. So kita bersama dengan Rio yang kini berada di dalam P ke-5. Seperti apa Victor mengatakan, this battle has been shortened out antara Kira Lam dan juga Rio. Siapakah yang akan mendapatkan P ke-5? Kita tunggu dan lihat. At this moment masih lagi Rio yang memegang posisi ini, dan kita terus saja ke dalam seleko yang pertama.
Yeah, the look of exasperation on Kamal Ali's face. I really got a feel for him though, because again, the thing about the curbs, especially in Gran Turismo, is that sometimes it's a bit of RNG. Sometimes like you can eat the curb pretty heavily and still not sustain too much damage, sustain too much instability. But that time though, Kamal Ali literally pushing to the ragged edge of that first turn there. Unfortunately, the RNG gods didn't favor him that time, and the curbs just basically forced him into a spin. So it wasn't exactly his fault there, unfortunately. But anyways, Harry Zephyr now has already taken his pit stop. He's ended up behind Touch Ayman, so our current 2-time champion, defending champion in 2022, he is now in the lead of race number 2.
Yeah, as expected, masih lagi terlihat Touch Ayman yang berada di dalam P yang pertama dan Haris Zafri di dalam P yang kedua. Dan kalau kita lihat Haris Zafri, itu dia boleh mengatakan beliau adalah berumur 26 sahaja. And yup, di dalam musim yang lepas beliau menghabiskan race ini di dalam tempat ke-5 sebenarnya. So I think having a P2 over here is not that bad of a deal actually, Victor.
Oh, it's not bad at all. I mean, the fact that he's already ahead of Uzair and Danesh already is putting quite a bit of pressure onto those 2 drivers like Specs, because, you know, they're going to have to watch out for Haris in the upcoming races here, because he's going to have a lot of points after this finish here. But of course, the bulk of it is going to be coming to Touch Ayman here with the 7-second lead now. This is going to be a very relaxing drive, I think, for our defending champion.
I mean, of course, it's like going on a Saturday drive in the front. No pressure, no nothing. It's like, you know, it's just you and also the track. Yep. No disturbance at all. Look at the gap. He has 7 seconds behind. He's just in front, and Zafri is right behind 7 seconds, 7.9 actually. But yes, that is a big gap compared to Touch Ayman and also Haris Zafri. So itu dia. Kita lihat race leader kita, itu Touch Ayman yang berada di dalam P yang pertama. Satu race yang cukup baik kalau kita lihat daripada awal ataupun permulaan untuk race ini. Beliau naik saja setiap tangga dengan pantas, and now he's in P1. I think he has been putting on a fantastic performance here, Victor.
I mean, he's been putting in fantastic performance for years now, I might add. I mean, the champion of 2020 and 21. Touch Ayman has a lot to prove here if he wants to be able to retain the title for this year. And what a drive it has been for him, you know, over these years here. The fact he's still able to keep himself consistently on top of everyone else is truly a testament to the level of his skills when it comes to Gran Turismo sport. So with all these other guys, Danesh, Uzair, all vying for that crown as well, Touch Ayman, I would say, came to this on-ground event with the highest pressure actually as returning as a defending champion. So you know, and I have to say, you know, all throughout he's been keeping himself in a very cool and calm attitude. Even in interviews, he just seems so relaxed at times that you wonder, is this the guy who is like defending his 3rd championship this year? I mean, he just seems so confident, so relaxed, and so sure of his ability to win these races.
I mean, these are the kinds of characteristics that you have, especially when you are at the very best, Victor. So let's hope it'll be an example for many other races to come in the future. But itu dia, kita bersama dengan Danis Wigneshwaran. I think so far it has been pretty good. for Danish as well, especially in this previous race. I think he finished in P6 if I got it right, or P4 if I got it right. But yes, so far he getting himself in this top 3. It's just a good day for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Danish is of course one of the favorites here in Group A. He's a very highly skilled driver when it comes to Gran Turismo, because, you know, he has regional records in Gran Turismo Sport, 20 of them in fact. So he's been consistently going out there, you know, practicing these circuits, trying to gain the maximum time out of it, and even earn himself a world record in one of the tracks in Gran Turismo 7. So, you know, that's the kind of like dedication that these guys need in order to be one of the top drivers here in Malaysia. You know, you have to just keep practicing, keep refining your craft, keep improving yourself and pushing your abilities to the limit, you know. So especially with people like Taj Aiman, who are like super dominant at this game, like I said, you need to be absolutely perfect in all aspects in order to beat these kind of guys. So, you know, it all starts from that grind. It all starts from ground zero pretty much, and you just need to build yourself up all the way until you get to the very top.
Yeah, so Taj Aiman yang berada di dalam PE yang pertama. So just one more lap to go, the final lap, and we will be having him on the podium, of course, there, man, Victor.
Yeah, I think the timer is going to run out before he reaches that line, though. So I think Taj Aiman is going to be coming soon now to take the checkered flag for race number 2. Our defending champion from 2020 and 2021 comes to take the checkered flag in race number 2 and wins it for Group A.
Yeah, fantastic racing from this man. And P2 goes for Haris Safri, P3 for Danish Wigneshwaran. And what a race it has been for all of these races, especially in this Group A. Man, it's a long race. We saw lots of actions happening, especially in the mid of the race. But in the end of the day, there's only going to be these races that are going to be getting the most crucial points. So let's see what's going to be happening in these final moments as we are getting closer for the end.
And Rio Pantukusuma and Kira Lam comes in now to take 5th and 6th place respectively. For Kira, he's literally in the most awkward spot, I would think, when it comes to the points, because finishing somewhere in 5th, if I'm not mistaken, for the first race, and now finishing in 6th here for race number 2, he's going to be under pressure, severe pressure, to keep himself in the top 5 when it comes to races 3 and 4. So that's going to be something interesting to see as we carry on here, to see Kamal Ali now coming across the line to take P8. What a sad result for him. He was at times fighting for that 5th position, was looking almost like he was going to be able to get himself up to 4, but an unfortunate incident with the curbs here has unfortunately costed him dearly in race number 2.
Ya, satu race yang cukup menarik dan cukup baik daripada semua para pelumba kita, especially di dalam Group A. But then, Victor, one question to ask you, your driver of the day.
The driver of the day, I mean, it's a little bit early to ask, right?
I mean, especially for this race.
Okay,
we go one by one.
I mean, for Group A, I mean, Taj Aiman, just for the fact that he was able to make up, what, 8 places at the start of the...
He overtaked everyone pretty fast.
At the start of the race, you know, the first lap itself is making up so many places. I mean, Taj definitely deserves a lot of credit for this race specifically. As for overall, though, I mean, for me, it's between Taj and Uzair very much. I mean, Uzair's brilliant performance in race number 1, constantly defending against Taj Aiman's, maintaining himself half a second ahead of Taj Aiman all throughout race number 1 is itself, I think, driver of the day worthy as well. But Taj Aiman's performance here in race number 2, just constantly getting those overtakes done itself, also earns him, I think, like a driver of the day title potentially. So, you know, it's quite funny because both of these guys are fighting for the championship, but even I can't decide between the two of them when it comes to driver of the day.
I mean, that's what Victor said. It's pretty early to say, but then we're going to change the rules a little bit. We're going to go each races. We're going to find the best drivers. I mean, it's fair enough. Sometimes, you know, some of the races that did not get enough credit and they get themselves in the driver of the day, especially with massive overtakings and stuff. Just pretty much, I know it does not add anything actually, Victor, but yeah, maybe a word of appreciation actually. But yes, it has been an amazing race so far, especially in this Group A. So let's see what's going to be happening very soon. That'll be coming up in race 3. But before that, we will be going with Nas, where I'll be interviewing Alex Yoong as well. So Nas, take it over, my brother.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you very much, Victor. What an exciting race 1 and race 2. Jadi kepada anda yang bersama-sama kita di One Utama Shopping Complex, tepukan untuk drivers kita. Well done. Well done. Look at the smile on Taj Aiman's face. And now I have a smile on my face because right here with me, I have Alexander Yoong, Malaysia's first F1 driver. And this man, he's got a heart of gold. He's now giving back to Malaysia by developing our young drivers with Axel Motorsports. And so, Alex, thanks for being here. And now this is season 5 of Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championships. What does it mean for the Toyota Gazoo Racing brand? And what does it mean for the sim races?
Well, it's not just for the sim races, for the motorsport community. I mean, what Toyota has done here, what a platform they've built, you know, the opportunity for the drivers to show what they can do. And a lot of these drivers are getting to real life racing as well. Thank you, Toyota, for doing this. I mean, every year, the consistency, what we're doing with Velocity, what they're doing with the Toyota Festival as well. It's been fantastic for motorsports in general.
Consistency is key, I must say that. Thank you very much, Toyota Gazoo Racing, for putting e-racing on the world map. Awesome, awesome stuff. But you mentioned a little bit about sim races making their way on track. But before that, how does it feel to be back in a live situation? We've been going through 2 years fighting a pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. We've been doing all online racing. You saw the racing last year was all online. So to see the boys here racing, you know, with the next level rigs, Sony monitors and consoles, it's been fantastic to see them. You know, it's you know, when you see it online, you don't quite get that feeling. And most importantly, everyone is competing on equal machinery. Because, you know, so everyone doesn't have an excuse. And we really see the talent come to the fore.
It's really about skills, yeah?
Absolutely. All about skill, preparation, dedication, and hard work.
Well, talking about dedication and hard work, we speak about one of your proteges, Mr. Nakib Azlan. Yes, he is Southeast Asia's esports champion 2022. Of course, making the transition at the same time on track with the Toyota Gazoo Racing Series, and he's killing it on track as well. So what does it mean? Is this the new way of developing drivers? No more go-karting?
Well, no, I mean, go-karting's still important. But for me, sim racing is even more important. You mentioned Nakib. There are a lot of other drivers coming up to the sim racing. Muir, who's coming up in Group B, he's tested a real Formula Renault car. So it is very important, more important than go-karting. Obviously, it's nice to do both. But sim racing, we can see the drivers are more complete. You know, watch the boys. They're driving different cars. They'll be driving a rally car around Goodwood later. So the drivers that do the simulator racing are just more complete.
More complete, yeah? Even with the GT Sport platform, the realism is there. The excitement is here. For those of you at home wanting to feel the same excitement, if you're a racing fan, come on down to One Utama Shopping Complex, Center Court, Old Wing, where the action is happening. Maybe one last question before we leave you alone, Alex. Yeah. So, with your experience as an F1 driver, right? What is your advice to our racers right here to be the best?
Well, take part in this tournament, you know. We'll have it again next year, hopefully. It's incredible. We've done 5 years of Velocity now. And really, sim racing is the way to go. It's a much cheaper way of getting into the sport. We don't need fantastic rigs. Obviously, eventually you'll need fantastic rigs. But to start, use the console, use the controller, use keyboard and mouse, you know. See how to get into the sport, learn the basics before hopefully being able to afford these nice rigs. And then if you do well in these competitions, hopefully you can find the sponsors and get into a real race car.
Excellent. You know, I've always wanted to ask this. Now I have the opportunity. You know, if there was sim racing back when you first started racing, would you be a different kind of driver?
Oh, I'd be a much better driver, to be honest. I made a lot of mistakes along my career. And a lot of the time it's because you don't get a chance to drive a race car. You know, or no budget, no money. So if I had the sim racing when I was driving, it would have really helped my career for sure. And, you know, what took me 30 years to learn, a lot of these guys are learning in 2 or 3 years.
No way!
Yeah, so
no way.
There's so many more shortcuts in sim racing. because we can put Le Mans, we can put Daytona or IndyCar. You know, these guys drive so many different kinds of cars, so many different kinds of tracks that they accelerate the knowledge so much faster.
Excellent, excellent. Wow. Now, from the mouth of Alex Yoong himself, Malaysia's first F1 driver, took him 30 years to learn the ropes and log in the hours. Now, in sim races, it's just 2 to 3 years. So it's a good foreboding for the future of motorsports.
Absolutely, especially here in Malaysia. You know, we don't have the facilities, and of course, motorsport is expensive.
Absolutely.
So really, this is the cheapest and most efficient way.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Alex Yoong in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
And now we've got a special announcement for those of you who are here as well. Don't go away. Especially you got a chance to win a lucky draw as well, Alex.
Okay.
So for those of you who are here, make your way down to our registration counter, scan the QR code, and you stand a chance to win lucky draw prizes. Every day we're giving away one iPhone 13 mini, one iPad Air per day, and an Apple Watch Series 7 per day. So you've got 2 to be given away today and tomorrow. Jadi kepada pengunjung-pengunjung One Utama Shopping Complex, kepada anda yang di rumah, if you want to test your luck, come on down here to One Utama Shopping Complex, scan the QR code, and stand a chance to win some prizes. And here are some test drive details. Have you test driven the new Toyota Cross?
Not yet, but I'm trying to see if I can get a test drive soon.
Excellent, it's right outside. For those of you who want to test drive 2 cars, we've got a Corolla Cross Hybrid and a Vios that you can test drive around the mall as well. So if you're looking for a new car, this is the place to be. And so, I think I would like to say thank you very much to Mr. Alex Yoong right here. Thank you so much for all you've done for these drivers.
Thank you.
And may you continue to serve Malaysia in your very own special way. Thank you very much, Alex. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Yoong in the house. Meanwhile, for those of you at home watching the race and enjoying it from the comforts of your home, hey guys, it's much more fun right here at One Utama Shopping Complex. So we're giving away merchandises. Can I have a merchandise bag, please? So that I can tell everyone what they stand a chance to win. Excellent. I've got my assistant over here, Encik Shazwan. He's beautiful in his own special way. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll be asking 3 simple questions. We're giving away these merchandises to you. The first person who wants to win merchandise from me, come right here on stage and answer my question, okay? Very simple. I've been spreading the gospel for the past few hours right here in One Utama Shopping Complex. So if you've been paying attention, you might stand a chance to win these prizes. So, can I have the prizes right here? Silakan, silakan. These are some of the premium items that we shall be giving out. We've got caps, and also, what are these things? It's an organizer, exclusive merchandise. And so, for the first person who comes up here on stage to answer my question, will be winning these prizes. My first question, for those of you who are here at One Utama, what season are we on right now? This is Toyota Gazoo Racing. Abang, mari sini abang. Silakan, silakan. What season are we on now? Saya bagi hint. Kita mula 2018. Kira-kira cepat. Hello sir, what is your name please?
Shariman bin Abdul Razak.
Encik Shariman, what season of Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championship are we in now?
This season is number 5.
Season number 5 is correct. Congratulations. Hadiah untuk anda. Itu dia, kesian. Punya flash begitu besar, orang kat rumah tak nampak. Tahniah Encik Shariman. Give a round of applause to our first winner. Do we have time for another question? We do have time for another question. So, the next person to answer, of course, premiums are coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, how many semi-finalists do we have today competing in Group 1 and 2? Awak angkat tangan dulu. Mari, yang pakai t-shirt brown. Yang pakai t-shirt brown color. Sila. How many semi-finalists do we have competing in Group B and Group B? Anda nampak macam anda tahu jawapannya. Nama siapa?
Zuhair Mizikri.
Zuhair ya? Okay. Zikri. Minta maaf, sound saya rosak. Okay, how many semi-finalists do we have?
20.
20 semi-finalists. Congratulations. Silakan. Ambil gambar. Terima kasih Cik Zikri. We've got one more to be given away. Mungkin anda mendapat peluang sekali lagi. Okay, stand by, bersedia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championships 2022. How many grand finalists are we looking for? For the 20 semi-finalists, how many grand finalists will we have? Akak-akak yang pakai baju biru lengan panjang. Tanya husband dia, berapa? Silakan Kak. So easy to win right here, One Utama Shopping Complex. So if you want to win some premiums right here, guys, come on down to One Utama if you're in the area. And of course, feel the action. Assalamualaikum. Nama siapa Kak? Rasifah. Rasifah tahu tak berapa grand finalist kita yang kita cari besok ni?
5 orang dari satu grup.
5 orang dari satu grup. Jadi kalau ada 2 grup, berapa orang?
10 orang.
Pandai matematik dia. Yes! Congratulations! Pemenang wanita kita yang pertama. Yes! Terima kasih. Alright, so we're going to cut off the merchandising for a bit. It's time to go back to our race casters and the highlights of Race 2, Group A. This is the semi-finals.
Alright, so ini dia. Kita lihat segala highlights daripada semi-finals race yang kedua. And what a race it has been, Victor.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting race, isn't it? I mean, a bit light on the action, but definitely very interesting to watch, especially knowing the results from race number 1. I mean, of course, the man to watch out for in this group here is the defending champion, Dutch Ayman, and look at the amount of places he made up in the first lap itself. I mean, within the first 5 minutes, he's already up to P2, for, starting from P10, P9. So he made up like 8 places all throughout that first lap, and pretty much had a smooth sailing race all throughout. But a lot of the action that was in race number 2 was handily delivered by our midfield here, starting off with Danish Wiggins-Warren, trying to get his elbows out there, trying to pass Rio as well as Farisman. Then we saw Farisman and Kamal having quite the battle here, coming through Dingledale, going side by side with Farisman trying to attack around the outside, which is extremely difficult, but he did it so well. Then Haris Sefri had been leading the race all throughout, especially since he took it at the start of the race, and looked to pretty much stay there quite well until pit strategy came into the mix. Then of course Kira Lam had been fighting as well in this 5th position and provided much of the excitement as well for this race here, but unfortunately had dropped quite a bit to the back here.
Yeah.
And this was where Kamal Ali unfortunately had his little spill there, unfortunately putting his wheels a bit too hard on the curbs, which tend to be sensitive at times. It's usually a luck of the draw sometimes whether or not your car will be stable enough to maintain itself on the curbing, and unfortunately that time Kamal Ali was a little too unfortunate and lost a couple places thanks to that. And by the time the checkered flag came out, Taj Ayman, of course, with his brilliant undercut strategy, got himself up into first place here. We do have our official results here for Group A here. You can see the points tally for this second race in particular. Taj Ayman, of course, taking the bulk of it at 25 points. Haris Shami in second place gets 18 points. Danish managed to get himself up in the 3rd place. One thing to note here for the results, though, is a disqualification that came in for Noor Farisman for not changing tire compounds during his mandatory pit stop. So that unfortunately is against the rules here, and as a result, he's been disqualified from race number 2. He's not going to be getting any points from this race, unfortunately.
Yeah, and if you... Absolutely. So let's have a look on the overall results there, Victor, as we are going into the next stage of our show. So there you go. In P1, we see Taj Izrin Ayman with 43 points. Mohammad Uzair on P2 with 37 points. P3 for Danish Wiggins-Warren with 30 points. P4 for Rio, 22 points, shared by Haris Shamin, P5, 22 as well. P6 for Kiralam on 18 points. P7, 12 points, where we see Mohammad Kamal. And P8 is going to be Ahmad Siddiq with 12 points as well. P9, Noor Farisman in 2 points only. We saw the disqualification in this race too. And last but not least, we have Chandra Murli in P10 with only 2 points as well. So that is the overall results, especially for this group there, Victor.
Yeah, so Taj Aiman having a 5-point lead ahead with Zaire is going to keep things very, very tight, I think, coming into races 3 and 4, because 5 points is not a lot. I mean, that's basically about one position away from really Zaire being able to contest him for the championship lead here for Group A specifically. But then for the other guys, especially those guys who were just on the verge of getting into the 5th place there, I think Kira Lam is only about 4 points away from tying up together to make it 22 points, which is what the points that are being held by our 4th place and 5th place guys in Group A right now. So you can see that the margin's so tight. So even just making up some good places here in races 3 and 4, especially for these guys who are vying to get into the top 5, is going to go a long way for their chances getting into the grand finals.
I mean, sama seperti apa Zaire mengatakan tadi lah. It's going to be a very tight race. Satu perlumbaan yang agak sengit sebenarnya. So memang terbuka kepada anyone actually. But at this point, especially in the leaderboard, di dalam point system nampaknya banyak perubahan yang telah pun berlaku. But let's hope that, Victor, there's going to be any sorts of positivities that might come in race 3 and race 4. So kita akan bersama dengan Nas. So Nas, my brother, take it away again. We'll see you in a very short while.
Excellent. We'll see you very soon, Victor and Matthew. Matthews, Isaac. Wow, you guys are doing a sterling job so far, keeping the audience informed of what's happening on the virtual track. Group A, race 1 and 2 is over, and so it's time for a second set of semi-finalists. Group B, 10 racers all together to take their places and bring glory to themselves. So it's race 1 for Group B. Let's invite them on stage right here, right now. Kepada anda yang ada bersama-sama kita di Dewan Utama, berikan mereka tepukan yang gemuruh. Let's invite our first racer from Group B, from Selangor, last year's Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championship first runner-up, Muhammad Iqbal Sojay. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing last year's semi-finalist, Go Yi Ying. Well done. Our next semi-finalist, Izam Adli from Selangor. Also introducing last year's semi-finalist, Putra Azwira bin Sahazar. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing new semi-finalist, Akil Saufi bin Azli Saufi. Next up, let's welcome our next racer, Chong Kai Chang from Selangor. Let's invite another experienced racer, Mio Muhammad Hafiz bin Mio Labudin. Ladies and gentlemen, our next racer is from Pahang. Put your hands together for Fakrul Syamil bin Syariman. Our next racer is a newcomer all the way from Melaka. Don't mess with Melaka. Muhammad Hakim bin Suhaimi. And our final racer from Kuala Lumpur, Muhammad Juwaidi bin Muhammad Johari. Ladies and gentlemen, those are our 10 racers for Group B, and they'll be going through race 1 and race 2, Brands Hatch, forward, and of course, they'll be going through a reverse grid as well. Garner as many points as possible. So who do we watch out for in Group B? Of course, all eyes are on Muhammad Iqbal bin Ahmad Suji. No pressure, bro, no pressure. Of course, he was last season's Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championship runner-up. So there's lots of expectation for Iqbal bin Ahmad Suji. to give a really, really good competition for Taj Aiman, our defending champion right here. And so, ladies and gentlemen, our racers are already in their positions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the race format. Over to you guys.
Alright, so ini dia race format untuk hari ini. So di dalam semi-finals race yang pertama di dalam Group B especially. So 5 minutes qualifying dan 15 minit untuk sprint race. Point sama seperti yang kita lihat. Tempat pertama akan membawa pulang 25 poin. 18 poin untuk P kedua, P ketiga 15, P keempat 12, P kelima 10. Oh, nampaknya the screen is off. Okay, got it back. Okay, we're back again. So tempat ke-6, 8 mata, tempat ke-7, 6 mata dan tempat ke-8, 4 mata, tempat ke-9, 2 mata dan tempat ke-10, 1 mata sahaja. And when it comes to the race lengths, 15 minutes of course for lots of things, especially like how we saw from race 1 there, Victor.
Yeah, it's going to be a 15-minute sprint race from start to finish here. 5 minutes for them to qualify for the grid positions. One thing that's going to be a bit different in the variables compared to Group A here is going to be the tire and fuel settings coming into this first race here. So we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the race itself. So this is going to be race number 1. Race number 2 is going to be a feature race, 30 minutes long with a reverse grid. So they're going to take the starting position based upon the results of the first race to determine the starting grid for the second race, where it's going to be reversed. It's going to be the fastest guys at the back, the slowest guys in front. Lots of overtaking to be expected, especially in those opening laps. And definitely for the guys who are vying to get into the top 5, it's going to be the best opportunity for them to make up a lot of points. So there's of course a little bit of recap, you know, naturally, because we are moving into our second group here, but it's still going to be racing on the same track. They're going to be racing using the same car as well, as we will see later on as we head over to have a look at the car specs and the track especially. It's still going to be on Brands Hatch here, ladies and gentlemen. It is the legendary Grand Prix track. It has hosted the British Grand Prix back in the 70s, and today in the Velocity Esports Championship is going to play host to our first race for Group B as well as Group A as well, if you guys missed the festivities that happened earlier today. So it's going to be 9 total corners here, a very short track. It takes about 1.5 minutes to get a lap around here, especially with the cars that the competitors are going to be driving here today. Lots of a couple of good places to make passes, but for the most part, cars are going so fast that sometimes it can be a bit impossible to find a way past unless you have a huge speed differential. So let's go ahead and have a look at the weapon of choice, the Toyota SFR. This is a racing concept version of the SFR, and basically it's been souped up in every single way you can think of. It's got aerodynamics, it's got lots of power under the hood, and it's extremely light here, coming in at only 1.1 tons. So you know it's a purebred racing machine that's going to be the perfect tool of the trade here for our sim drivers.
Yeah, so itu adalah car setup, track setup dan pelbagai setup yang kita lihat di dalam segala race yang akan datang tak lama lagi. Tapi ramai yang tanya, apakah prize pool kita? Let's check out our prize pool, especially for the race. So there you go. Tempat pertama akan membawa pulang RM20,000. Tempat kedua dengan RM10,000. Tempat ketiga RM7,000. Tempat keempat membawa pulang RM5,500. Tempat kelima RM4,500. Tempat keenam RM4,000. Tempat ketujuh RM3,500. Tempat ke-8 RM3,000. Tempat ke-9 RM2,500. Tempat ke-10 RM2,000 dan tempat ke-11 hingga tempat ke-20 akan membawa pulang RM500. So that is the entire prize pool untuk race championship kita untuk musim ini, Victor.
Yeah, and again, it's all going to be about your performance during the race, isn't it? I mean, the more places you can make up, the higher you get yourself up there, the more money you potentially will be coming home with. But even if you don't make it to the grand finals, you're still going to be going home with 500 ringgit in the hand. So, you know, if anything else, you know, even if you don't get that result you're looking for today, at least you're going to be having lots of fun here at this on-ground event, because it's not every day that you're going to have the top 20 Malaysian sim drivers in one place here, just basically to hang out and to compete against each other, right?
Absolutely, man. So especially kalau kita lihat di dalam Group B kan, Victor, 10 pelumba kita yang cukup hebat. Kita dah ada nama-nama yang gergasi seperti Iqbal Suji and the rest. But we have two young racers over here, Akil Saufi dan juga Muhammad Hakim. Yes, so both of them are 19 years old, and they are the youngest in this Group B.
I believe there's one even younger, Noor Farizman, in Group A is actually 17 years old. So it's always been an interesting mix, you know, whenever you look in the sim racing world, because it's always you have your long-time veterans, like for example Kira Lam in Group A. He's been racing for 25 years inside the simulators, but then you also have young fellas like these 19, 20 years old, and some of them you literally having only just started sim racing maybe a couple of years ago, and they're still going to be up here mixing it up together with like long-time competitors like Iqbal Suji. So Iqbal Suji, he definitely is going to be one of the favorites to watch out for in Group B, because last year he only came in the runner-up just behind Touch Aiman, you know, and the thing is that both of them have been so neck to neck that it could have literally been either one's championship. Of course, last year it went Touch Aiman's way, and I think for Iqbal Suji, he's hoping things will turn out a little bit more his way, especially in 2022.
Yeah, so that is the semi-finalist in this Group B. We have a repeat again where we see Iqbal Suji, Go Ying, Itzam Atli, Putra Zwira, Akil Saufi, Chong Kai Chan, Mio Hafiz, Fakrul Shamir, Muhammad Hakim, and also Muhammad Juwaidi, Muhammad Johari. So these are the last 10 races, especially in the semi-finals. Group B, let's see what things are going on, especially in this Group B, but I'm very sure that, Victor, they are going to put on a great fight.
I mean, given the fact that a lot of these guys have raced in other series here besides the Velocity Championship, I mean, we have some guys who are finalists when it comes to the Michelin Virtual Race Series in 2021. I mean, Chong Kai Chang, you know, he ended up top of his group when it came to the quarterfinals. He comes here also carrying the title of second place in the Michelin Virtual Race Series. So a lot of these guys are very decorated. I think the most decorated here is probably, you know, aside from Iqbal Suji, is probably Mio or Muhammad Hafiz. You know, again, one of those long-time veterans who have been racing for a decade, practically a decade when it comes to sim racing. And Mio in particular has experienced a lot of early success. In 2019, he was the e-racing Grand Prix champion. That was also in Gran Turismo. So he pretty much made his mark in this very game itself. But then since then, you know, when it came to the Velocity Championships, it's truly a testament as well to how competitive this championship is. Since that point in 2019, he's been struggling really to try to find a good result in this game, because everyone else is basically caught up, is really, you know, taking this game to a whole new level than when he started. So, you know, it just goes to show how things have evolved over the years here, you know, as time goes on, especially with this championship having been run for 5 years. We're seeing, you know, a lot of these young bloods come up and really show that they're not only just as capable as the veteran drivers here, but sometimes even beating them outright.
Oh,
so
we have seen that a few times.
well, that's the thing. That really goes to show where the future lies when it comes to motorsports here in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even as Alex Yoong said, that now it's becoming increasingly clear that sim racing as a tool for driver training has been so invaluable for the motorsport scenes now, because a lot of drivers, especially the ones who are competing at the highest level when it comes to real motorsports here, you know, racing in Sepang, some of them literally get their start through competitions like this, get their start through sim racing tournaments, small community ones even, and that's where they kind of like start the beginnings of their craft. You know, they learn so much more in these virtual environments compared to coming into real life, that by the time they actually, you know, have the opportunity to jump into real life, it feels like a glove, fitting like a glove practically when they get into that seat, because they know exactly what to do. They've been here before, just maybe in a virtual context, but now that they're in the real world, they can show that the skills that they learned, you know, driving those sims still apply, and it still is able to beat the very best on the track.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. I mean, like, we have seen a few of the races, especially having real-life experience as well. So, I think it is, how do I say, it's like we're entering the future, you know, we're entering the future where both of them are going to collide someday. And man, this is going to open so much of opportunities for young driver enthusiasts as well, who wants to be a racer. And of course, they might not have the platform to get into actual racing immediately, but why not? They can start over, especially in a simulation.
I mean, the thing is, cost-wise, like there's literally no contest. Like to build your own like track car itself, you know, it can cost in the tens, maybe even 100,000, you know, at maximum. But then a sim rig, you know, even at the most expensive, is within the 10,000 ringgit range. And if you even like talk about a rig like this, it's even cheaper than some of the most professional rigs out there. So looks like we're already looking at qualifying starting now for Group B. As I was explaining this now, this is going to be Group B's first chance now to go ahead and set their times, to set the tone very much for these couple of races that we're going to be running through.
Yeah, so this is the qualifying. So let's see who's going to be getting the best time to especially put themselves in the best position in the grid start, of course. So we have interesting races, especially in Group B. So it is pretty much open for anyone to make a name, especially in this race. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, man, who do you think like your racer to watch over here?
Well, I'm going to be watching Iqbal Suji because he's on the screen right now, and he was towing right behind Mohamed Juwaidi, but now he's decided to just overtake him here to go ahead and get his flying lap sorted. Another person that I want to kind of see, especially between these two guys here, Mio Hafiz and Wayne Go. Now, Wayne is tucking himself kind of behind where Mio Hafiz is, so by the time they get to the line, they're going to be starting the flying lap together, and I wonder if Wayne is thinking about stealing some of the slipstream of a Mio Hafiz car. Now, of course, they're a little bit too far away for them to do that at this point now, so Wayne has actually backed up a little bit, gave Mio Hafiz a little bit of space, and more importantly, gave himself some track space in order to just fully commit to a flying lap here, and getting a little bit squirrely as he comes into Druids, though. That's not exactly the way you want to attack that corner. You want to ensure the car is very neutral and very smooth through a fast track like this, but Wayne is just literally eating up curbs on the inside, swinging his car wildly here. I mean, he's literally pushing that car right now.
Yeah, go Wayne, especially we have seen him race throughout many seasons. He's a fantastic driver. But another person that I really want to have my eyes on is going to be Mio Hafiz there, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, he being the champion back in 2019 in Gran Turismo, like one of the first, one of the early Gran Turismo tournaments here, besides the Velocity Championship, you know, he has a lot to live up to, you know, especially being a veteran of this sport, having raced for a very long time, even prior to coming to this championship. And he's definitely also had some actual real experience, having driven the Formula Renault car in a test drive before, so he knows exactly what it's like to drive a car in real life, and also how to drive extremely well when it comes to the sims. So with that combination, you think that he's going to have a lot of success, right? Well, unfortunately for the last couple of years, it's not really been working out that well for him, because he did manage to get a runner-up in the 2018 edition of the Velocity Esports Championship. That was the first year that we ran this, and by 2019 he only managed to get up to 4th place. So his results have been dropping consistently at that point now. So after, you know, after everything that's happened over the last couple of years now, he's coming back into the Velocity Championships here, and I'm going to be excited to see whether or not he's going to be able to make things a little bit better for himself this time around, or, you know, maybe things are going to be very different here, especially with the intense competition, especially from the youngsters that we're seeing here in this Velocity Esports Championship.
Yeah, so nampaknya ada lebih kurang 1 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam qualifying section kami, and nampaknya so far we see the fastest lap dipegang oleh Kai Chang dengan 1.28.474. That is nearly what we saw from the man who was on his top of his form in Group A. That is Taj Aiman there, Victor.
I mean, Chong Kai Chang was top of his group in Group D, and in fact, you know, he had been giving Muir the run of his run for his money there by time tying himself in points there. I mean, both of them were the top in Group D itself, and Kai Chang now having taken the lead here, especially ahead of Iqbal Suji in terms of the time attack here. This is going to be an interesting development. I mean, I wonder if Iqbal is going to be able to regain that provisional pole, take the provisional pole away from Kai Chang by the time we get towards the end of this qualifying session, which, by the way, is already ending now. The timer has just about ended, so this is going to be a last chance here for Kai Chang to try to improve its time. Last time he set a 128.474. What's he going to be able to do when he comes across the line soon? But also, more importantly, what is Iqbal Suji going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to beat Kai Chang's time? Now, Kai Chang comes across the line there, still maintains his time here. Unfortunately, can't quite beat his previous best. Iqbal Suji is going to be coming around. Actually, it's just only started getting into just at the end of Hawthorne Strait, not coming through Dingle Dell, and unfortunately, it's going to be a while before we're going to be able to see his fastest time. But last time around, he did make it 128.7, so he has about 3/10 to find somewhere in this track here in order to try to beat Kai Chang's time. Putra Azwira is actually putting himself up pretty well as well. He's already in third place provisionally right now, and he's put himself ahead of Wayne Go, ahead of Mio Hafiz. That's already two really good drivers here that Putra has just shown up to.
Ya, satu aksi yang cukup baik yang kita lihat daripada para pelumba kita, especially the top 5. So nampaknya it has been a fantastic timing yang kita lihat daripada Kai Chang. Tetapi Iqbal Suji as well in P2 now, man, Victor.
In P2, but again, did not manage to beat Kai Chang's time. So Kai Chang still maintains provisional pole. Wayne Go comes across the line, cannot improve his time either. Akiel Salfi has come through as well. He stays in P6. Mio Hafiz is currently in P5. Hakim has come through and only manages a 9th best start here. Shamir comes through. He is unfortunately at 10th. That's going to be at the back of the grid, absolutely. So Chong Kai Chang comes in pole position for race 1 of Group B.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to watch. But now it's go time there, Victor.
Yeah, everyone's all lined up. Everyone's waiting for the start. I didn't quite mention what the tire and fuel balloting is. Right now for Group B Sprint, it's going to be 2 times simulation rate for tires, 2 times simulation rate for fuel. Quite similar-ish to our first sprint race, but with a little bit more fuel burn. I think the cars are going to be a little bit lighter compared to the Group A guys. But nevertheless, here we go. Race number 1 of Group B. A good start there for Kai Chang to try to keep himself ahead of Iqbal Suji. Iqbal's going to try himself around the outside here, weaving a little bit there to get a little bit more heat to his tires, but can't quite find a way past Kai Chang. Now he's going to be challenged here by Azwira, who's attempting to get around the inside through Druids here, and Azwira does take away P2 there. Iqbal Suji is going to have to go the long way around, tries to find a way to cut around the outside through the bend, but Mio Hafiz has already beaten him to the chase though, getting himself up into P3, and now trying to mix it up here with Azwira to try to battle for that P2. Now coming up to Surtees, they're all going single file line here. Things are starting to settle down a little bit, but there's still plenty of opportunity, especially on this back straight. Extremely long, even longer than the main straight here at Brands Hatch. This is going to be the best place to get some drafting done. Shamir looks like he's going to be getting a battle at 9th place. Iqbal Suji tries to get a draft off of Mior, but can't quite get the speed differential to battle for that 3rd place. But Mior conversely is sticking very close to Putra Azwira, and that's allowing Mior now to have a very comfortable draft as it comes through Dingle Dell.
Yeah, man to watch adalah is going to be Mio Hafiz so far. Tetapi kita tunggu dan lihat adakah Mio akan melakukan any sorts of movement, but so far this line is going to be very interesting to watch daripada P2 hingga ke P5 kita lihat, dan kita tunggu dan lihat bagaimana di dalam Sleko yang akan itu Sleko yang ke-9 dah, Victor. So this is the moment to see any sorts of movement. Azwira masih lagi berada dalam P2, dan although we saw little bit of movement daripada Mio Hafiz, but then Mio Hafiz masih lagi dinafikan oleh Azwira, dan kita terus saja ke Sleko yang pertama.
Look at the defense. Mio Hafiz trying to defend very hard now against Iqbal Suji, successfully maintains his place, but then only barely though, as he gets a little bit squirrely onto the grass. Wayne goes now nipping at the heels at Iqbal Suji, and that actually gives Iqbal Suji now an opportunity here to look around the inside. He's going to be cut around the inside of the next turn though, as Mio Hafiz takes his place back at Graham Hill and maintains himself 3rd place. But this battle is not over yet. 3 and 4 now coming towards the Surtees here. Iqbal Suji tucked up behind Mior Hafiz. This is going to be a long train now coming towards the Hawthorne Strait, and Iqbal has the draft here. Is he going to be able to find a way as he come towards a very fast section of Brands Hatch? Mior Hafiz now is going to have to position his car absolutely right on the racing line here to have any hope of defending against Iqbal Suji, and he has done so perfectly.
Ya, perfectly, dan sekarang ni kita lihat di dalam P keempat masih lagi kita lihat Iqbal Suji mengikuti Mior Hafiz, dan kita terus ke Seleko yang ke-7. I kind of feel there might be a movement over here there, Victor, but looking at the time gap, there's just 0.1 actually, and let's see if there's going to be any sort of battle. So masih lagi kita lihat tekanan diberikan oleh Iqbal Suji kepada Mior Hafiz. Mior Hafiz masih lagi compose saja di hadapan, dan kita lihat Azwira di dalam P kedua. Iqbal Suji dekat lagi sekarang ni daripada what we saw earlier sekarang ni.
Look at
Maybe
inside
right now, dan kita lihat Iqbal Suji cuba untuk mempertahankan, tetapi masih lagi Mior Hafiz berada di hadapan, dan kita terus ke dalam Seleko yang pertama. Dalam garisan ke dalam Iqbal Suji, dan Iqbal Suji tidak juga untuk nampaknya memintas beliau.
The thing is that Mior had to leave the space, and Iqbal had only barely enough room there to keep his car on the track, but unfortunately couldn't quite find the speed to turn 1, so he's still back in P4 right now. Mior Hafiz still maintaining his third position now, but he really wants to try to catch Azwira, but all this defending against Iqbal Suji has been so tough for Mior. I mean, Iqbal's been turning that pressure up to 11 here by keeping himself within 2 tenths behind Mior Hafiz. So that means that even a slight differential in the line between these two guys is going to mean everything on the overtakes. Now, Itzam is, I think he just got passed by Akiel Salfi, who is now in the 6th place. Itzam in 7th, and they're going to be tucking behind each other. True Dingle Dell here. Not much he can do about that, unfortunately. Once you're on the racing line through this very fast section, it can be very difficult for you to actually find a way past. So your best bet is just tuck up behind, just like the way Iqbal's doing. Look at that, he's literally touching the rear bumper of Mior through that slow corner there, and it just goes to show how the level of pressure that Iqbal is just putting onto Mior, just constantly hounding him on, hoping that somewhere, somehow, that Mior will crack. But again, we're talking about one of the most experienced drivers here in the Vios Championship, so it's not going to be that easy to catch Mior Hafiz napping.
Ya, penuh dengan pengalaman itu Mior Hafiz sekarang ini, tetapi Iqbal Suji, tekanan itu pasti datangnya daripada beliau, dan masih lagi kita lihat Iqbal Suji cuba untuk melihat any sort of movement daripada Mior Hafiz untuk melakukan kesilapan. But so far, I can see Mior, as what you said just now, Victor, he's very composed. Maybe experience is playing a big role, a big advantage on him, but you cannot discount Iqbal Suji, especially when he's coming at the back.
Yeah, the thing is that Mior is already caught out of Putra Azwira, so not only is Azwira providing a tow now to Mior, but with Mior providing the tow to Iqbal, he's going to have an opportunity to maybe make this into a 3-way battle between them. But speaking of 3-way battles here, look at this little bit of a mix right now. Itzam now trying to get past Akiel, still couldn't quite find a way through, but with Wayne Go already being caught up here by Akiel, this could be a 3-way battle for 5th, but Akiel keeps Itzam all the way behind her, not leaving any room at all for Itzam to exploit through the fast corners here. So just like before, as long as you're on the racing line, it's so easy to defend through these fast parts of Brands Hatch. So your best bet is to just stay as close to them as possible as like Itzam has done, and then hopefully find a way through on the outside, which Itzam still is able to do against Akiel. Side by side now, I think Akiel has lost his place here as Itzam moves up a little bit, but no, they're still side by side coming through the Jim Clark curve. Now, Itzam did get a much better exit, and Akiel had to back off a little bit less he ends out outside the track. So now he is down into 8th place here as Shamir has actually tucked in behind where Itzam is and actually gained a place as a result.
Nampaknya pertarungan ini belum lagi tamat, Victor, antara Mior dan juga Iqbal Suji. Let's see what we can see daripada Seleko yang ketiga sekarang ni. Masih lagi kita lihat Mior Hafiz berada di dalam P yang kedua. Iqbal Suji menunggu saja kesilapan daripada Mior sekarang ni. But at this moment, Mior, once he's in the front there, he just know what he's doing there, Victor. And look at how he closes the gap there, denying the opportunities for Iqbal Suji. But Iqbal Suji is just trying to keep himself right behind him, not to lose any sorts of gaps. And let's see, from this straight all the way to turn number 5.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to get past Azwira, it looked like, because Azwira was in P2, now he's down to P4, so Iqbal must have followed behind Mior as soon as he got past Putra. So Iqbal continuing to keep that pressure going, again, just keeping like that 1/10 of a second behind Mior, just constantly within touching range of his bumper there. In fact, some of these breaking points, he literally nudges him in the back, so that's just adding even more pressure to Mior, because sometimes, you know, those little taps there can potentially upset the balance of your car, especially through those breaking points there. So that's just making things a little bit difficult for Mior Hafiz, and it's definitely Iqbal telling Mior that, hey, I'm a little bit faster through some of these parts, man. So, you know, if you're not too careful at some of these points, if you miss your breaking point or you slip up, I'm going to eat you up. As he tries to, having a look on the inside here, going through his turn 1. Iqbal Suji has a good line here, but oh, he touches the grass a little bit. He unfortunately sideswipes Mior Hafiz a little, but still manages to maintain control and still stays in 3rd place. But now this has opened a door for Putra Azwira to maybe get into the mix here, because Azwira caught up to Iqbal Suji as he attempts to regain control of his car. So Mior now having a slightly more comfortable cap compared to before. I mean, I say slightly, but we're literally looking at a difference of 3/10s, 4/10s than before here to Iqbal Suji. But now looks like Iqbal has already covered his place pretty well by the time to get to the back straight. So it looks like this three-way battle will still continue.
Ya, lebih kurang di dalam 6 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam perlumbaan ini. Kita on board bersama dengan Putra Azwira yang berada di dalam P yang keempat, dan beliau misinya adalah untuk mengejar Iqbal Suji yang berada di hadapan di dalam P ketiga. Tetapi battle itu masih lagi belum tamat nampaknya. There is not much of a drastic changes. Walaupun kita lihat Iqbal Suji ada juga sedikit detik-detik beliau untuk memintas Mior Hafiz. Tetapi Mior Hafiz, as usual, very experienced driver dan pernah melalui pelbagai cabaran sebelum ini, and he is keeping a very calm head. Dan kita terus ke dalam seleko yang ke-9, especially bila kita lihat di dalam P pertama adalah Kai Chang.
Yeah, the thing is that what Mior would love more than anything else is to focus on his race with Chong Kai Chang, but at the moment just trying to keep himself ahead of Iqbal Suji means that most of his focus is exactly behind him, so that's not really giving him a lot of like breathing room in order to try to catch up to the current leaders, because he's literally trying to fight for the 2nd position to stay ahead of Iqbal throughout these first 2 races. So Mior right now, you know, just absolutely defending very, very well there, and he has to basically keep his car on the racing line at all times here, because if he just gives a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a nudge or a squeeze somewhere that Iqbal can exploit, it's going to be all game over. No. So like I said, you know, just a little chance Iqbal Suji might be able to eat it up, and he's going to be going absolutely top speed now towards Hawthorne, and Iqbal does take the inside though, so Mior, he's going to try to attack on the exit, but unfortunately tucks in behind, so it's already Iqbal Suji into P2 here. Mior Hafiz now loses a place, tries to gain it back, but now they're at the section where it's a little bit too hard to overtake.
Ya, dan akhirnya kita lihat Iqbal Suji dapat pun memintas Mior Hafiz dan meletakkan beliau di dalam P kedua sekarang ni, dan misi adalah untuk mengejar Kai Chang yang berada jauh di hadapan dengan 3 saat sebenarnya. And at this moment kita lihat Mior Hafiz masih lagi belum give up daripada pertarungan ini, dan sekarang beliau cuba mengejar balik Iqbal Suji dan mendapatkan position beliau sekarang ni. Putra Azwira di dalam P keempat, dan kalau kita lihat di dalam P kelima Datuk kepada Go Ying, dan P ke-6 untuk Syamir, P ke-7 untuk Akil Saifwi, P ke-8 untuk Hakim. Dan ini dia pertarungan di dalam P ke-6 antara Akil dan juga Syamir, diikuti oleh Hakim di dalam P ke-8. Dan bagaimana kita akan lihat Akil cuba untuk melakukan sedikit gerakan daripada garisan yang ke dalam sekarang ni dan masuk ke dalam seleko yang ketiga. Syamir masih lagi mempertahankan posisi beliau dan juga menafikan gerakan-gerakan datangnya daripada Akil Saifwi, but this is a long 3 minutes to go there, Victor.
Yeah, it's going to be a long 3 minutes, especially for Shamir. You know, he only started sim racing back in 2019, so he's one of the really fresh faces coming into the Velocity Championships, and so far so good. I mean, he's managed to make his way up to 6th place there from 10th, and that's putting himself ahead of Akil Saifwi. But now the true test here is how well can Shamir defend, especially with a faster guy behind him, because Akil is just constantly trying to poke holes through his defense. They're trying to force him into an arrow or force position that allows him to make an overtake. But at the moment, moment, though, it looks like Shamir is doing quite well. He's still able to stay in position for now, and Akil is just going to continue to try to find some way through. In the meantime, Mior and Iqbal, you can see how things are quite a bit different once the positions switch around. Like previously, Iqbal was able to keep within a 10th, 2/10s behind Mior Hafiz. Now that Mior is behind Iqbal, he's only been able to muster it at most, probably about 4/10s, maybe even 3/10s at certain points. But Mior certainly isn't able to it's certainly keeping a much bigger gap compared to what Iqbal was doing onto him, which tells me that Iqbal probably still has a lot more potential performance left in his car here that he's not really using to the fullest yet. But at least now that has already gotten past Mior Hafiz, has got a clear track in front of him. Perhaps this is going to be time now for Iqbal to try to push a little bit harder and see whether he can catch up to Kai Chang in the front.
Yeah, I won't deny that. I really love the rivalry, especially from Iqbal Suji and also Mior Hafiz. But at this moment kita lihat daripada battle untuk P ke-5 sekarang ni, Akil Safi sekarang ni memegang kepada posisi nombor 5 dan diikuti oleh Shamir di belakang dengan P ke-6 dan P ke-7 adalah untuk Hakim sekarang ni. Although yes, of course, they're pretty much new and they are young racers di dalam race yang Group B sekarang ni, but this is going to be adding a lots of experience to their backs. But let's see, in this final 2 minutes to go, is there going to be any sorts of drastic changes?
Yeah, remember, Akil actually was behind Shamir early on, so it looks like he's already gotten past Shamir here to take 5th place. And now Hakim is nipping on the heels of our young driver here, so Shamir is going to have to do absolutely everything he can to defend. I say that. It looks like he might just opened up the inside there as we cut away to Kai Chang in a moment. I want to see what happened between Shamir and Hakim. It looks like Shamir, he still managed to keep himself in front of Hakim, and Hakim's going to try to attack him again on the first turn, and laying on the inside, he puts his elbows out there, touching the rear wheel there. I think that might be a bit marginal there if Shamir decides to protest it, but come to Druids though, Hakim outbreaks Shamir, takes away 6th position here, and Shamir drops to 7th.
Ya, gerakannya sangat baik daripada Hakim sekarang ni untuk memintas Shamir yang berada di dalam P ke-7. Is there going to be any sorts of redemption datang daripada Shamir? Kita tunggu dan lihat di dalam seleko yang keempat sekarang ni. Tapi masih lagi kita lihat Hakim berada di dalam P ke-6. Shamir cuba untuk mendekati beliau, tetapi at this moment Hakim is doing an absolute perfect work, and kita tunggu dan lihat what is going to be happening in this turn number 5 as we're coming down over here. But man, 30 seconds to go there, Victor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always so worried, like watching these guys dip the tires into the grass right on the curbs here, because remember what happened to Kamal Ali in the second race? Like, he literally only touched the curb a little bit on his rear tire, and that sent him into a spin. But then these guys, you know, especially on this really fast part of the track here, you know, you literally need to maximize your entry speed, your momentum throughout the corner, as well as your exit here. So it's going to be absolutely blistering fast through all 3 parts of that corner, and pretty much that means that, you know, when you're in that second sector, you're pretty much going flat out. That's why it's so hard to overtake, right? Like when your opponent's going like fully pedal to the metal, it's so hard for you to find any speed differential during that section because there's no braking involved. So it's really only where like the main straight starts to happen, or literally the first sector, which is going to be the slowest sector, especially with Druids leading to Graham and then Surtees. Those are like the 3 slowest corners on this track here, and that's the only place we've been able to see people actually make passes. Mior Hafiz went a little bit too wide there, it looks like, and ate a lot of grass, and that's costing him time here against Iqbal Suji. And you can see even on the main straight, he's dropped like a 1/10 of a second all throughout that, just thanks to just dipping himself into the grass a little bit too much. So yeah, that's the costly result of making a minor mistake like that.
Ya, so jadi kita lihat di dalam P yang pertama, the race leader iaitu Chong Kai Chang yang masih lagi berada di hadapan. Nampaknya he's going on a long Saturday drive, nobody around him, although Iqbal Suji is just 2 seconds right behind him, but then that is a long way for him to catch up as he is coming down to the checkered flags. So ini dia, the main man in front, iaitu Chong Kai Chang yang akan jadi pemenang di dalam race ini. And what a race it has been untuk Chong Kai Chang, diikuti oleh Iqbal Suji, dan P ketiga untuk Mior Hafiz. And what a race that we are having in our hands, man. This battle, Iqbal Suji and Mio, has been entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been pushing each other so hard, just like Taj Aiman and Muzair in the first group here. So I'm expecting they're gonna continue this pattern going into the second race very soon. But it's great to see that Kai Chang actually had a massively good race here. I mean, not only qualified in that pole position ahead of our Iqbal Suji, our favorite here, Iqbal Suji, but it's also went on to convert that into a race win here. So he's absolutely getting a very good spot here, and potentially could be seeing him very far into the grand finals.
Oh man, I can really say that the battle has been so entertaining, especially in this race, in this group being like we actually predicted that, Victor. Group B is going to be very interesting to watch, especially these races giving their hearts and souls out on the track. So we are definitely guaranteed with so much of action. So I'm really looking forward for the next race. But at this moment, this is the results.
Yeah, Akiel Salfi is in 5th place at the moment, one of the most competent spots I would feel. And you can see, judging from the three-way battle he had with Hakim and Shamir, it was definitely a very hard-fought P5 there for Akiel. And I'm very interested to see how it's going to turn out in race 2, because in that situation, Shamir is going to be starting in front, Hakim right behind him, and Akiel right behind the two. And remember, it was Shamir who was leading this battle before Akiel and Hakim managed to get past him. So I wonder if he's going to be able to take any heat or any lessons here from race 1 and carry them forward into race 2 here, because, you know, remember, it's going to be the top 5 in the championship for this group that will be making it into the grand finals here. So finishing in that 5th spot, very crucial for those guys who just want to be able to get that final slot into the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way to go for them, but it's a perfect start for them. Yeah.
So yeah, in any case, as we go into our next race here, like I said, I'm going to be very excited to see how the reverse grid is going to change things up. And given given that Muir is actually able to put himself in 3rd place here, I think he's going to be putting up a good show, I hope, coming into this race here, because in ERGP he was the guy basically overtaking everyone from the back of the grid, getting himself into the front. And I just want to see whether or not he'll be able to repeat that same level of performance here today in 2022.
Oh, that's the expectations right now, Victor. But at this moment, I guess we will be having a little bit of a, how do I say this? It's like a little bit of the guidance from one of the best races in Malaysia. That is going to be Tengku Jan. So let's see this from them. Tengku Jan.
Hi, I'm Tengku Janle, Toyota Gazoo Racing Ambassador and professional race car driver. We're going to talk about one Toyota model that's very close to my heart, which is the Toyota GR86 RZ. This is the designated car for our quarterfinals, and here's why it's so special. Our quarterfinalists will be piloting the all-new GR86 RZ around a returning fan favorite circuit, Trial Mountain. This classic circuit is renowned for its undulations and technical corners that would suit the GR86 nimble handling. So some unique points about the new GR86, it now comes with a stiffer chassis and an overall weight reduction of 10 kilos. Acceleration from 0 to 100 in a time of 6.3 seconds versus 7.3 seconds of its predecessor. So it now also comes equipped with a FA24 2.4-litre flat 4 that produces 231 bhp and a flatter torque curve between 3 to 5,000 rpm. With the GR86, Toyota offers sports car enthusiasts exactly what they were hoping for, a meaner, faster version of the car that was designed for the racetrack. We have this mean machine and a whole slew of other race cars on display during our championship. So join us from 6 and 7 of August for our live semi-finals and finals. See you soon.
All right, ladies ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we've just concluded race 1 for Group B, and here is our race winner. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this gentleman who's been waiting for a long time to come into first place, Mr. Chong Kai Chang. How do you feel right now? He was 2019 grand finalist. He skipped 1 year, and now he's back in action. So what does it feel like to win your first race?
It's actually great to be back, and especially back on stage as well, because with the situation that we have over the past few years, it's been really tough on a lot of people staying at home, not being able to come out. So I'm feeling quite excited that we are able to do our live event here again.
So it seems during the pandemic you've been doing lots of practice. And who's your biggest challenger for Group B?
Well, I think if you manage to grind to enter semi-finals, right, then you qualify to be one of the best. So you can't look down on any of this competition because they are here for a reason. They are here because they managed to fight their way here.
You look like you have a very solid head on your shoulders. Actually, the focus right here is on the first runner-up from last year, Iqbal Suji, and you saw him battling very hard with position number 3, Mio Hafiz. But you were cruising right in front, not a worry in the world. So is your biggest challenger yourself?
Well, actually, I have huge respect to Mio and Iqbal Suji as well because, like you said, they are the grand finalists from last year and the previous years as well. So I know how fast that they can be, but during the first lap, I actually saw on the map that there was some fighting ongoing. So after I saw that I managed to open up a gap, then I just tried to pace myself. Don't take too much risk, just bring it home safely.
Excellent. What a great, solid head on his shoulders. He's a cool racer. Mr. Chong, good luck for race number 2. It's going to be reverse grid, 30 minutes. Prepare yourself, racers. Meanwhile, it's back to our racecasters.
All right, so there you go. The semi-finals highlight, especially in Group B, Race 1. This was entertaining, Victor.
Oh yeah, this was a very interesting race to watch, particularly the battle that Iqbal Suji and Mio Hafiz been having all throughout. I mean, they swapped places one time, but you know, the whole time Iqbal has been keeping the pressure going onto Mio, keeping it going for a very, very long time until finally he found the right time, you know, to make the pass there, taking his position away here. He made an attempt of one time before, and then finally managed to find a way through by the time they got to the end of Hawthorne after having a brilliant draft through that long back straight. But, you know, you have to give a shout out as well to the guys fighting in the midfield here. Shamir in particular, you know, had been battling very hard, trying to get himself up in that P5. Almost tasted that position for a little bit until, like, both Hakim as well as Akiel were able to find a way past him. But the man of the race, though, is this guy, Chong Kai Chang. Got pole position. He led the race from start to finish, built up a massive gap ahead of Iqbal Suji, and therefore it's deserving of the top point spot here after our first race.
Ya, so kalau kita lihat di dalam race result untuk Group B di dalam race yang pertama, Chong Kai Chang yang berada di dalam P yang pertama dengan 25 mata, P kedua untuk Muhammad Iqbal Suji dengan 18 mata, P ketiga untuk Mio Hafiz 15 mata, P keempat untuk Goh Ye Hing 12 mata, P kelima Akil Safi 10 mata, P ke-6 Muhammad Hakim 8 mata, Fakrul Syamik P ke-7 6 mata, P ke-8 Putra Azwira dengan 4 mata, P ke-9 Muhammad Juwaidi dengan 2 mata, dan terakhir sekali adalah Izzam Ali dengan 1 mata. So this is the race result that is official right now, Victor.
Yeah, it is, and with Chong Kai Chang having taken the bulk of the points now, Iqbal and Mio are not too far behind, especially in race 1. Given that they're going to be starting in front of Chong Kai Chang, it's going to be a battle now to see who can make the massive overtakes on the first lap of this reverse grid race. Because remember what Taj Aiman was able to do, you know, when you get an extremely good first lap, you start climbing up the ranks there, you're pretty much going to be staying in a good position for your strategy in the feature race. So whether or not the same kind of thing can happen here, I mean, we're talking about these guys who are on par, I would say, with Taj Aiman in terms of skill, maybe not so much in terms of the results that he got from the past years. But nevertheless, just like Chong Kai Chang said, you cannot discount any one of these drivers, even the last place guy, because they have fought their way to get to this point. They fought through the time attack qualifiers, they fought the way through the quarterfinals. Now we're going to be going into race number 2 here. It's starting in front there, gets himself up alongside Juwaidi, but no, actually stays in front of Juwaidi here. Putra in third place right now, tries to find a way to slip past. He does overtake Juwaidi around the inside here. Now gets his help up in the P2. Bit of a toss-up going on in the back of the grid here. We see Muir in 5th place right now, Shamir in 6th. Shamir right now trying to get around the outside. Iqbal Suji didn't quite make it though, and Iqbal goes up into 7th. Shamir now tries around the inside through Graham Hill, but still isn't able to get himself ahead of Iqbal quite yet. Iqbal stays in P7. Akiel right now is in P6 as they continue to pile on through Surtees. Look at that, still jostling around for position here. Iqbal Suji now trying to find a way past Akiel Selfie, but unfortunately doesn't quite have the gap in order to build up speed through the draft now. So pretty much he's going to be tucked up behind Akiel by the time to get up through Dingeldale, and there in 7th place he will stay.
Wah, satu permulaan yang sangat baik di dalam Group B race yang kedua. Kita lihat Iqbal Suji sekarang ni. Adakah ini masanya nampaknya beliau memintas juga. Dan terus saja mendapatkan P ke-6 dan nampaknya beliau akan cuba untuk memberikan cabaran terhadap Mior Hafiz yang berada di dalam P ke-5. Tetapi in this front there, Victor, kita lihat Itzam yang masih lagi berada di dalam P yang pertama. Dan ini dia pertarungan daripada di belakang sebenarnya. Kita on board bersama dengan Shamir yang berada di dalam P ke-10, cuba untuk memberikan tekanan terhadap Akil Saufi. But Akil Saufi trying his very best over here, Victor.
Yeah, I mean, everyone that was behind him has literally overtaken them, so that's why they're currently sitting in last place here. But Shamir had been trying so hard to fight. In the meantime, though, I think Muir has just gotten side by side here with Hakim, and Hakim will have an inside going through it. So, but Muir outbreaks him out here. Now the exit is going to be important, and Muir stays himself into P5, and Iqbal uses this opportunity now to slip past Hakim in order to come up into P5. So Iqbal yet again finds himself right on the rear bumper of Mior Hafiz.
This is never ending, Victor. I can tell you for sure, man. So kita tunggu dan lihat apakah yang akan jadi antara pertarungan Mior Hafiz dan juga Iqbal Suji. Battle untuk P4 yang kita boleh mengatakan so far. Dan kita tunggu dan lihat adakah Iqbal Suji ada sahaja peluang di dalam selekor yang ke-5 sekarang ni berada di hadapan. Tetapi at the same time kita kena juga memberikan tumpuan terhadap Go Yiging yang sudah pun berada di dalam P ke-8. But right now, Iqbal Suji masih lagi di belakang Mior Hafiz. Is this the moment untuk beliau cuba untuk memintas? Breaking point yang cukup baik dan menafikan di situ adalah Mior Hafiz yang tidak memberikan beliau segala peluang untuk memintas. But at this moment, Mior Hafiz is just keeping calm, and look at how close Iqbal Suji is right behind him.
Yeah, but again, Iqbal just wants to stay behind him so he can try to overtake him on the pit straight. And look at that, he's taking a much more aggressive line compared to Mior because he wants to maximize speed on the exit. Coming out towards the first turn now, Iqbal Suji is still continuing to trap behind Mior Hafiz, so hasn't quite found that speed differential yet. But yet again, this is going to be another lap for Iqbal Suji to tuck himself behind Mior, unless he can outbreak him through Druids, but he doesn't seem to be making that move though. But look at that tree white behind there, and it looks like a little bit of contact, forcing a slowdown there. Wayne Goh attempted to try to get past Kai Chang there, it looks like, and Kai Chang unfortunately had to brake a little bit, forcing the three cars to slow down a lot. And then now it's just opened the door now for a three-way battle for P6. Wayne Goh currently is sitting in front there, but Kai Chang is nipping on his heels as it comes through Graham Hill. Akiel Salfi somehow managed to find his way through there. It looks like he's actually gotten past Hakim, who's dropped the place now to get towards P8, but then they're both battling side by side there. The P8 and P9 driver here trying to see who's going to be the first one to get through the turn. It looks like Hakim is the one who gets through there ahead of Putra.
Ya, Itzam sekarang ni yang nampaknya akan memberikan sedikit pertarungan untuk Putra Azwira yang berada di dalam pick yang pertama masuk ke dalam selekor yang ke-8. Azwira masih lagi mempertahankan posisi beliau di hadapan dan Itzam still right behind him. Kita tunggu dan lihat apakah plan daripada Itzam sekarang ni. Azwira on the other side making sure Itzam masih lagi berada di belakang. As we see the gap antara mereka ini adalah 0.6 saat sahaja. Di dalam pick ketiga kita lihat Muhammad Juwaidi naik juga nampaknya. Dan P keempat untuk Mior Hafiz. Tiada perubahan di dalam pertarungan antara mereka bersama dengan Iqbal Suji di dalam P kelima. Dan ini dia, kita on board Iqbal Suji datang saja daripada belakang. Ada sedikit langgaran daripada bumper di situ, but he's still keeping calm there, Victor. Dan Mior Hafiz cuba untuk masuk ke dalam garisan ke dalam, tetapi dinafikan oleh Muhammad Juwaidi di dalam P yang ketiga. Cuba untuk mencari ruang kiri dan ke kanan, but both sides are well shot right now, Victor.
Well, one thing I didn't quite consider is that all that bumping that Iqbal Suji has been doing onto Mior has actually been drafting him quite well, so it's allowing him to fight alongside Juwaidi. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite find the speed through Surtees right there, so he still stays in P4. But yet again, Iqbal giving this gentle nudge on the back of Mior actually helps Mior a little bit here, because it does give him the extra speed boost. Now, granted, Iqbal is a lot faster, so now he's going to try to use his opportunity here. Mior finding a way past Juwaidi. Iqbal's going to try surely to follow behind there, but no, he doesn't quite get through. Juwaidi is going to try to fight back here, but they will end up side by side to get through Dingledale. So Iqbal has the inside now, and he has Mior Hafiz to draft off of here coming on this turn. So I think by the time to get through, Iqbal is already 4 tenths ahead of Muhammad Juwaidi.
Ya, satu gerakan yang sangat baik daripada Mior Hafiz sekarang ni, yang sudah pun naik ke P yang ketiga. Iqbal Suji di dalam P keempat nampaknya, dan P kelima untuk Muhammad Juwaidi. So let's see this battle. Apakah keputusan? Nampaknya Iqbal Suji akan masuk ke dalam pit. That's an early pit from him. Dan kita memberikan fokus terhadap Mior Hafiz yang berada di dalam P ketiga.
That's going to be interesting. It'll just like touch Ayman in the Group A race 2. He's going to be going for the undercut here. That's Iqbal Suji. So it's going to be an interesting time now, especially for those guys who are in front here, because now that they know that he's fired off that first shot in this strategic war here, now it's going to be a matter of how these guys maintain their tires. So the thing is that for this specific feature race here, the balancing is quite a lot different compared to Group B, because even though the fuel is at 1 time the simulation rate, so there's not going to be a lot of fuel burn in this race, tires are going to be wearing out 4 times faster than normal here. So maybe that might be the cue for Iqbal Suji. Just go ahead, swap out to a soft set of tires, and then try to maintain this, and hopefully overtake a lot of these other guys in front when they have to come in to take the mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, so that is the pit stop strategy yang kita boleh lihat yang diterangkan oleh Victor Cash. So at this moment kita on board bersama dengan Muhammad Syamil sebenarnya, tapi kita memberikan tumpuan terus kepada Iqzam yang berada di dalam P kedua. Putra Azwira masih lagi berada di dalam P yang pertama. Kita akan terus ke dalam seleko yang ke-9 dengan 22 minit saja yang berpaki di dalam race yang kedua untuk Group B semi-finals Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Esports Championship 2022. And let's see if there is going to be anyone going into the pits there, Victor.
Well, one thing that's so interesting watching this battle between Azwira and Itzam is that Azwira is a lot faster in the pit straight compared to Itzam. Like literally, I think he's getting a way better exit out of the Jim Clark curve, and that's allowing Azwira plenty of comfortable room and comfortable speed in order to keep himself ahead of Itzam by the time to get to the first turn. So Itzam, in the meantime, though, dropping quite far behind Azwira. I think he might have used up a lot of the performance in his tires now, and is struggling as a result. You can see that his front and rear lefts are already quite well worn out compared to his right-hand side tires, and that's just an indication of like how much right-hand turning they had to do, especially in this sector here, where you're literally flinging yourself into this turn at 170 kilometers per hour. I mean, you can imagine the stress that puts on your tires. I mean, quite frankly, even the Vios cars, they literally top up their max speed at 170, and these cars are doing that, but on the corners.
On the corners, man. So that's a lot of things that will be happening around. But right now, kita akan teruskan dengan perlumbaan di dalam race yang kedua. So Itzam masih lagi berada di dalam P kedua. Nampaknya beliau terkeluar sedikit daripada garisan. Hopefully it does not affect his timing at this moment. Dan kita bersama dengan pelumba yang memenangi race yang pertama, iaitu Chong Kai Chan, dan bagaimana beliau Mior akan masuk ke dalam pit sekarang ni, and the one that is staying out right now is going to be Chong Kai Chan, and the fastest man on this lap so far, man. it is going to be Putra Zwira, clocking at 1.29.507.
Yeah, but that could also be because he basically, right now, having run this stint for quite a while, has already got himself a much lighter car. And the fact that he's beating Itzam when it comes to the top line speed on the main straight tells me that, you know, he has a lot of speed in that car still remaining. So I think Azwira probably is going for the longer first stint here. It's interesting that Mio has decided to take this turn now to pit. He was on the medium tires, it looks like, and then I'm not sure what tires he's going to be coming out. Hopefully we'll be able to find out soon. Iqbal Suji in the meantime has already made up a place there, having gotten past Mio Hafiz, who was in the pits. So that strategy has already worked out for one position so far. Can he catch some more though? Because look at that, he's already catching up to where Hakim and Shamir is, and I don't know, I don't think either of these guys have pitted either, so Iqbal could be potentially you know, getting himself into the mix of this 6th place battle here, even after he's already completed his first mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, dan that is what we can. Oh, look at that. Iqbal Suji datang daripada mana di situ nampaknya. And he has right now got into P7. Iqbal Suji with a surprise. And man, I'm very sure Shami did not saw that coming, man. This is just perfect from Iqbal Suji. And let's see if he's able to aim on Hakim right now, who is on P6 at this moment. Iqbal Suji on the outside, and he got it into P4 right now, man. And let's see if Hakim is able to hold on to the next turn right now.
Nope.
But nope, it's not going to be happening. It's not happening anytime soon. Iqbal Suji on P4.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, again,
how did he got the speed?
I mean, for one, he has pressure tires. He did he did kind of like pit a lot earlier, so the undercut has worked out so well for Iqbal Suji now, and that might be you know, something for these drivers, the rest of the drivers here to think about. We're only about 11 minutes into this race, so they can certainly try the undercut as well, unless their strategies literally go long, unless the strategy literally requires them to keep those tires going until the 15th minute or so, and then only decide when they want to try to pit in once the tires already gave up the ghost. But with Iqbal Suji absolutely blistering his way out of the field, I think it might be high time for these drivers to consider the undercut, because with the tire simulation rate being at 4 times, you know, the performance isn't going to last. And if the undercut is this powerful, maybe, just maybe, it might be time for a lot of these drivers to take the pits. Oh, Shamir, that's looking very close there. But Hakim also made a bit of a mistake there. That forced Shamir to react. But what a reaction that was, because Shamir still managed to keep his edge so far and keep himself ahead of Mior Hafiz. But now that Hafiz has a draft now, coming towards the final turn, I think Mior might be thinking of making a move around the outside of Clark Curve, and he has a draft Hakim to hop up as well if he manages to make it, and he looks like he does, because it looks like Hakim goes into the pit lane. That forced Shami to slow down a little bit, and that now gives Mior Hafiz 4th position in race number 2.
This guy is climbing slower and slower there. So itu dia tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, Mior Hafiz yang kini berada di dalam P yang keempat. Dan sekarang beliau cuba untuk mengejar Iqbal Suji, and Shami nampaknya ketinggalan di belakang dengan 0.5 saat at this moment. But let's see if that is going to be any sorts of drastic changes di dalam posisi yang atas sekarang ni. I'm really surprised to see Azwira and also Itzam still holding the same position from just now, Victor. And Iqbal Suji on the other side coming closer. But right now, all focus on the man right now, Kai Chang, who is trying to get into P5. This is the battle for P5. And let's see if he has any sorts of advantage going up against Shamir as we are going into turn number 5 downhill right now. And let's see, he's having the outside right now, and he just could not close it in. Shamir doing absolutely perfect, but Kai Chang on the inside. Is this the moment for him to make a move? But no, Shamir still denies the opportunity right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was Kai Chang was catching up to Shamir so much, but then they both had to break at the same time as soon as they entered Dingledell. So that already makes it extra hard, because, you know, there's only a very short window of opportunity there in that braking zone. So very much not a overtaking place at all. So Kai Chang, though, has done quite well. He's going to try to go a little bit wider around the outside here, but I think Shamir is going to be going into the pits as Kai Chang overtakes him for P5 now. So now he's only got Mior Hafiz ahead of him, 2.5 seconds to think about here, because there's no one else left for him to battle at this point.
Man, this is going to be a long gap between all of the other races especially. And we're on board right now. It's still with Kai Chang, who is the 28 years old driver right now, who has got the second place back in Michelin Virtual Race Series 2021. And right now he is on a battle to get himself the hands on the trophy or the championship today, which is going to be for the Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Esports Championship 2022. This man has an aim, and let's see if he's able to achieve that in this race.
Well, if he aims to catch up to Mio, he better not understeer the way he did through Surtees there, because that's going to do a number on your tires, especially when we still have half the race to go here, ladies and gentlemen. We're still 15 minutes away from seeing the checkered flag in race 2, and this boy is going to be a long one here for these guys. I mean, the field is very much spread out. You can see from the mini-map that the gaps between these drivers are very huge. There's practically not a lot of drafting to happen here, except for maybe a couple of guys. I think that might be Wayne Go and Juwaidi, who are battling a little bit behind Kai Chang at the moment. But for Kai Chang, you know, he still has a long way to go before he catches up to Muir's slipstream, so pretty much has to rely on setting fast, consistent laps. But the last one being a 130 isn't quite setting the timing charts ablaze here. Let's hope his 10th lap is a little bit better as he comes across the line now. He's only set at 129, so he is improving. He's getting his timings up there, but he needs to be 129 consistently here.
Oh, it's a penalty.
He wants to have a chance to catch up to Iqbal. Wayne Go has caught a 0.4 seconds penalty. Again, this is an automatically applied penalty, which means that either he had caused a bad collision or he may have cut track limits here. So whichever the case, that's going to hand a very healthy lead to Juwaidi, because as soon as Wayne Go is going to be forced to take that penalty, he's going to be forced to slow down, or rather his car will automatically slow down, and Juwaidi will definitely have an opportunity now to pass.
Yeah, that's going to be a good opportunity, especially for Juwaidi at this moment. So itu dia, kita bersama dengan Go Ying yang kini berada di dalam P6 dan kita on board bersama dengan Muhammad Juwaidi yang akan mendapatkan advantage untuk memintas Go Ying. But at this moment kita akan teruskan di dalam Sleko yang kelima. Dan on the other side, Victor, this race, especially once the gap is opened up, it's all about who is going to close down the gaps in less than 13 minutes right now.
Yeah, I want to see whether or not Akiel will be able to take advantage as well once Wayne Go has to take his penalty here, because even though Juwaidi, I think, is pretty much in that position to overtake him, but Akiel also is following very closely behind Juwaidi, so I think by the time Juwaidi makes his move, Akiel can surely follow him behind. Wayne Go comes around to the final corner here. It looks like he still has a 0.4 second penalty, but he's actually pulled a little bit of a significant lead ahead. Juwaidi now up to 1 second, so that's actually given him quite a margin here to work with here to slowly edge away at that penalty, which is brought down to 0.3%. And this is one way you can pretty much reduce the damaging effects of that penalty without necessarily forcing a long slowdown period, just basically by lifting off more, or rather breaking a little bit harder through some of these corners here, but doing it gradually so that you slowly whittle down that penalty, but without conceding the full penalty length there. So as a result, I think Wayne Go has done extremely well here. To get that gap going there, and to now finally have the breathing room to edge away that penalty and hopefully not allow Juwaidi to take over his place.
Ya, sama seperti apa Victor mengatakan, satu aksi yang cukup menarik daripada Kai Chang sekarang ni. Tetapi kita on board bersama dengan top 3 racer, iaitu Iqbal Suji yang berada di dalam P yang ketiga nampaknya, walaupun sudah berada di dalam posisi yang cukup baik, tetapi sekarang ni misinya adalah untuk mengejar. Nampaknya he's not going to be chasing him anymore. He's going to go into the pits there. So jadi Iqbal Suji akan teruskan dengan P yang kedua. As Putra Zuwira pitted there, Victor?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, right?
I mean, given the fact that Iqbal is literally 7 seconds behind already, I mean, look at the power of the undercut. I mean, seriously, Iqbal pitted at what, 6-minute mark? And then he's already made up virtually all of the places that he lost before he went to the pits. So now that he's behind Azwira, all it takes is Azwira to go into the pit lane and Iqbal will inherit the lead. So Muir now being 4.7 seconds is not really in that range to battle Iqbal for the lead here. So I fear for the next 11 minutes it's going to be Iqbal having his own version of a Saturday drive.
You can say that again, Victor. This man is It's been phenomenal. So itu dia Iqbal Suji sekarang ni yang berada di dalam P yang kedua. And once Azwira pits, I think most definitely is going to be in P1. But ini dia pertarungan untuk P yang ketujuh. Akil Safi masih lagi memegang di hadapan dan diikuti oleh Muhammad Juwaidi bersama dengan Fakhrul Syamir. And let's see if there's going to be any sorts of changes. Adakah kita akan lihat attacking yang akan dilakukan oleh mana-mana pelumba di dalam battle ini. As far kita lihat Muhammad Juwaidi masih lagi cuba untuk mengejar dan juga menafikan gerakan-gerakan daripada Muhammad Syamir. But Syamir right now trying to close the gap as well and putting on more pressure on Muhammad Juwaidi.
I think Go has just got another penalty again.
Oh, man.
But then again,
how many penalties are we going to have today?
As many as we need, I think. But for Wayne Go, no, it's only a 0.1 second, so he's already whittled it down quite a bit since we saw it earlier on. So that's not going to have too much of an effect because he has a healthy gap to Akil right now. But Akil has got to watch his rearview mirrors very closely because this is a three-way battle right now. And I think he's going to be carrying this next 10 minutes of the race here because at this stage, I think all these drivers here, I think they've already taken the pit stop, maybe. So that means that they're going to try to battle it out here for the rest of this race. And boy, oh boy. I mean, for Juwaidi, he did lose a place because he was falling behind Go earlier on, I think, in that P7. So Akil has already overtaken him. So Juwaidi now, if anything else, is trying to regain his old position here. But nevertheless, as we ride aboard with Kai Chang, he won the first race. Currently now, he's sitting P4 just out of the podium place here with Mio Hafiz for company in front and 1.8 seconds away on the track. And right now, I mean, for Kai Chang in particular, given that he's already won that first race, even finishing 4th here, I think it's already giving him good chances of getting that grand finals. But surely he would definitely relish it a little bit more if he can actually find a way to battle with Mio here for 3rd place.
Ya, jadi tuan-tuan dan puan, nampaknya lebih kurang kita mempunyai 9 minit saja yang berbaki di dalam race untuk race yang kedua di dalam Group B semi-finals. Dan masih lagi kita lihat Iqbal Suji yang berada di dalam P yang pertama diikuti oleh Mior Hafiz di dalam P kedua. Dan P ketiga sekarang ni adalah Kai Chang. And I'm really looking forward to this battle right now. But at this moment, the battle is on for P7. Oh!
Akil!
Someone Akil! Nampaknya Akil terkeluar. Dan what happened to Akil over there? If you can get the replays, I think he just went a little bit wide there, Victor.
I think he just went wide.
He went wide, yeah.
Wide and into the sand trap. Oh,
it was a battle there, Victor.
He tried to defend, but unfortunately moving that suddenly in the braking zone there unsettled his car.
A shame.
Then sent his car straight into the sand trap. So that's so bad for Akil because now by the time he gets back on track, he is in last place. Oh, that's the worst place to be in there, especially after you were battling so hard. I mean, he was in 7th place there ahead of Juwaidi. Now Juwaidi is in that 7th place ahead of Jamir.
Yeah, not the master plan from the man on P10 at this moment, but it seems like it's going to plan for Iqbal Suji in P1 right now. Dan nampaknya ada 7 minit saja yang berbaki dan Iqbal Suji kini memegang P yang pertama. Di dalam musim lepas, beliau menghabiskan race ini di dalam P yang kedua. Can this be his season? That is the biggest question that is among everyone right now. Dan Kai Chang nampaknya ada sedikit pertarungan sama dengan Azwira yang berada di dalam P ketiga. Adakah kita akan lihat attacking move yang akan dilakukan oleh Kai Chang di dalam Sleko yang ke-9 yang naik ke atas saja. Dan bagaimana dengan Azwira sekarang ni cuba untuk menafikan gerakan di dalam Sleko yang pertama. Dan nampaknya Kai Chang berada di dalam garisan ke dalam dan memintas juga Azwira mengambil P ketiga. Azwira di dalam P keempat. Man, Kai Chang right now putting on a show for us.
Consider this fact that Azwira had just only came out of the pits just the last lap, and Kai Chang, even with tires this worn out here, continues to find the speed somehow on that pit straight and passes Azwira on those fresher tires. So I mean, it could be the weight differential. Again, Kai Chang I think has still already pitted quite a lot earlier on compared to Putra. So Azwira may have been a bit of a disadvantage, but the fact still is that Azwira has the better tires and still Kai Chang can find the speed. So Wow, that's an amazing pass now, and that's going to put Kai-chan straight up into the podium here. Not quite a battle he was hoping for in Muir, but a battle nevertheless to get himself up onto the podium.
Yeah, fantastic racing from this man, especially you seeing him from the race 1 and now in race 2 as well. He's trying to prove a point over here, and I'm very sure it's going to be a long way battle for him, but him being in the speed 3 is going to be absolutely good as well. But Putra Zwira sekarang ni cuba untuk mengikuti Kai-chan, but then looking at the gap there, Victor, 0.7, that's quite far there. And we know with the speed of Kai-chan when he gets onto straights, yeah, look at that. It's widening, yeah.
Widening.
It's widening.
Widening on the pit straight. Kai-chan is carrying so much speed.
So much speed, yeah.
I think it's just, you know, down to the way you attack the final corner. You know, you want to have that very fast exit out, especially when you're coming onto like a long straight after like a very technical corner. And Clark Curve is definitely one of the most trickiest kind of like last corners I've ever seen in any kind of circuit, because not only had to contend with like the slightly weird entry, because it technically is part of like a multi-configuration that's available for Brands Hatch, and Clark Curve just you know, eases itself into like the Indy layout of Brands Hatch, which is a shorter layout of the track. So that creates a bit of a weird sort of bump or hump they had to get over if you're on the racing line. But the other thing as well is that the Clark Curve itself is not straightforward. It's not like a very consistent right-hand turn. It kind of like bends and kinks a little bit in the middle of the turn. So practically you're just left with like, okay, you have this much track, and you know, the pit straight, you know, it's literally right after this corner. So everything all banks on the way you handle the entry and how you manage the exit of the corner. And what you want to achieve with exit is maximum top speed, because once you are able to get that fast exit out, you're guaranteed to have carry that speed all the way through the main straight. As you can see, that's the way Kai-chan's doing it, you know, getting all the way around the outside once he got to the exit of Clark Curve, and then just gunning it through that through the main straight, trying to keep a line as straight as possible through this like quote-unquote straight, which if you notice, you know, especially on the cameras here, you can see it's actually a bit cambered and also slightly bending to the right.
Yeah.
So even the straight is not that straightforward on this very iconic track.
Yeah, talking about speed, nampaknya Kai-chan sekarang ini mempunyai satu speed yang cukup baik, tetapi all eyes on this man, itu Iqbal Suji yang kini berada di dalam P yang pertama. Dan can this be his season? He looking pretty much calm over there. Nampaknya beliau keluar dengan satu aksi yang cukup baik yang boleh dihidangkan kepada semua yang menonton live stream ini ataupun secara langsung di Wan Utama sekarang ini. But man, this guy has a long shot to go at this moment, but absolutely phenomenal performance from Iqbal Suji so far.
I mean, absolutely perfect strategy as well. I mean, just like Taj Ayman, he harnessed the power of the undercut in order to basically all he did is just pit way earlier than everyone else, get himself up to speed already on his second stint, and pretty much just make up positions as people in front of him slowly had to take their mandatory pit stop one by one. And once that shuffle is already the way through, Iqbal just literally bubbles his way to the top. And with the 6-second gap here, and with 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes remaining here, I mean, for Iqbal Suji, all he needs to do is just, you know, drive consistently. Don't have to push too hard anymore. You're not facing any more pressure, especially from the back now. With a 6-second gap, you could even let off the gas a little bit at certain points and still maintain a healthy lead. So, you know, at this point, especially with the tires already being this worn out, he doesn't need to fight so hard anymore. And basically, that's the power of having the perfect strategy for the race. You know, if your strategy works out very well, you find that, yeah, you actually don't need to exert too much effort during the actual race itself, because practically the strategy does all of that overtaking just for you.
Oh, perfect, man. Absolutely. So right now, we're on board right now with the Muhammad Hakim actually, who is on P9. So kita tunggu dah lihat bagaimana gerakan beliau terhadap Akil Safi. I think Akil Safi had a really good battle di dalam P7 tadi, Victor. Until that spin he just came off. Yeah, he just ran off the track and he got pressured. That tekanan yang terlalu tinggi terhadap beliau, and he just spun off and got into P10. And now he is trying to slowly climb back. And right now he's on P8, pretty decent enough. And let's see if he's able to get into P8 maybe. Let's see.
I mean, it's
pretty much open, yeah.
especially after like a spill like that, it's all damage limitation here. So whatever places he's able to maintain, he better just stay there.
He better stay, eh?
He better stay there, especially with 1 minute left. But, you know, it's also a bit unfortunate, or rather, I would say a bit self-inflicted on his part, you know, regarding the mistake. Because on the one hand, you know, he was defending, you know, there was a potential for a move there, I think, that I think was maybe Shamir or someone who was trying to make that move onto him, and that forced him to kind of like make a very late move, you know, to defend. And that unfortunately allowed, when he made that move, it just touched the grass a little bit. And unfortunately, when you're driving a racing car at top speed, you know, at the edge of your grip, you know, touching the grass, not exactly the best of plans, you know, because as you saw with Akiel, immediately that sent him out of control straight into the sand trap, losing out those positions and potentially losing out on a chance to get into the grand finals.
Ya, itulah apa yang kita lihat tadi lah, Victor, kan. It's such a shame for him, but right now he's trying to get back into the race and getting back into a better position daripada P10. So sekarang nampaknya kita mempunyai 12 ataupun we can say we are coming to the checkered flags already, and all eyes is on this man, Iqbal Suji, the 24 years old. This man is already enjoying it so far as he's coming down into the last turn number 9. So ini dia, all eyes on this man with a phenomenal performance, and that is Iqbal Suji finishing this race in style, P1 for the man. What a race it has been. And Mio Hafiz on P2. Oh, hopefully you don't need him. And Kai Chang with another performance as well on P3. Fantastic racing today, Victor. I'm enjoying this, man.
What an amazing race. I mean, the fact that Kai Chan managed to fight his way back up onto the podium here, combined with his first race win, that's certainly going to give him a very smooth ride to the grand finals, I think. But let's see how Akiel does. He was in 8th place early on in that battle with Hakim. He stays in 8th place. It comes across the line, so damage limited here, and he's feeling a little bit happy there, especially when things could have been so much worse for him. But oh, Juwaidi, he's in 10th place at the moment and only just about into the final corner here. What happened to his race? At one point, he was literally battling with amongst the best in the midfield here, but it's dropped all the way down to the rear, and unfortunately will only be earning a single solitary point here in race number 2.
Ya, so nampaknya tamat perlumbaan di dalam race yang kedua, Group B semi-finals, dan satu pertarungan yang sangat baik dan sangat-sangat menarik kalau kita lihat segala aksi-aksi yang berlaku di atas litas sebentar tadi, especially the battle between Iqbal Suji dan juga Mio Muhammad Hafiz, and also the rest of the other races as well. Kita juga dapat sedikit pertarungan yang sangat baik daripada Muhammad Juwaidi dan juga Akil Safwi, until we saw Akil spinning it off and dropping into P10, and we saw lots of other amazing stuff as well. But Victor, overall, I am really enjoying this, and what a fantastic racing it has been.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing race that we saw here. I mean, just like with the Group A, I mean, Group B is just as competitive. You know, you see Iqbal being one of the most targeted guys, let's put it that way. You know, getting second runner-up last year. Yeah, second runner-up from last year means that, you know, he's already got a huge target pain in his back coming into this season. Muir especially putting some mean faces to the camera there, and yeah, Muir definitely is gunning for that. You know, coming into this championship here, he wants to, you know, just like Uzair, you know, who won the first championship, he wants to come back here to prove that he still has it, even though he is already in his 30s here. He can still fight it with, you know, these 20-somethings. He can still, he still has the skills in Gran Turismo to prove that he deserves to be in the grand finals here. So, nevertheless, with those kind of performance here, I think Mio definitely stands a good chance. But after all, we still have 2 more races. We still have 3 and 4. It's only after that 4th race that we will be tabulating the entirety of the points here in order to determine who will be the top 5 for each group. So it's not quite over yet. Even after the 2nd race here, the question of who gets in the grand finals, that's still up in the air.
Oh, it's very much open actually, who's going to go into the grand finals. We're just done with race 1 and race 2 for each groups. We'll be going for the race 3 and race 4 later on, once everything is pretty much done. But one thing for sure is that, man, it's going to be a very interesting battle, especially I'm looking forward for race 3 and race 4. That is what going to be a conclusion for all of these races. You can say that this is almost at the mid of this entire show. So right now, you got to be 100% serious. You don't want to be making mistakes.
I mean, you're already warmed up, I think, after having raced like 2 races already. I mean, at this point now, I mean, the Swaben drivers already know what to expect from their rivals inside the group itself. And hopefully, by the time we get to race 3 and 4, things will heat up even more, because then at that point, things are actually on the line.
Yeah, you heard that right. So right now, we'll be having the interviews with the racers, of course, from Group B. What a race it has been. I hope Nas asked lots of interesting questions. So Nas, over to you, my man. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Cox and Mr. Matthews Isaac. Yeah, what a wonderful, wonderful race 1 and 2. And here we are with the first runner-up from last year, Mr. Iqbal Suji. Now we're going to talk about his strategy. Jadi Iqbal, tadi apa saya nampak kan? Awak mula dengan medium tyres sebab awak mula dari belakang. Lepas tu awak masuk pit punyalah laju. Orang semua tengah menggelabah, tiba-tiba apa saya Iqbal Suji masuk dulu kan? Jadi apa strategi kamu di sana?
So tadi yang interesting ya pasal this particular car dengan track ni is that medium is a better starting tyre daripada soft. Sebab if you see kan, those yang starting on soft, they might be quick over a lap, but masa start tu, they are too much grip, the wheels wouldn't spin and they bog down. I'm on the medium, the tyres can spin, and I was able to short the line. Memang depan tu petik lah.
I see. So that was his tactic from the start. But the fast pit stop, and I noticed you changed to soft tyres, and towards the end of the race, you were slipping and sliding, shoot, macam tu. So was that expected to happen?
I know the soft can run for 15 laps, but I pitted at lap 4, so I'm not sure about the extra lap. But seeing the gap keeps extending, I might as well, I'm just going to have fun.
So it was a bit of a gamble as well, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the traffic and all.
Very good. So that's the difference between experience and the rest of them who've just wetting their ears in e-racing. This is what experience gets you. So, I saw you having a big battle with Mio Hafiz throughout the 2 races. And is he your strongest competitor for Group B?
For now, it's hard to say because I believe there's a few more people in Group B that deserves quite a good recognition as well. Mio's pace is good. I think was Kai Chang also pace is very good. So we'll see. Maybe there's a lot more that I should be expecting.
Absolutely. We look at the surprise package. Mr. Chong kita, who actually won the first race and coming in at 3rd. So he's looking at you, Iqbal. He's looking at you. Best of luck for race 3 and race 4. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, we've just concluded race 1 and 2 of Group B. So now, we're going to switch over to this side and I'm going to speak to another driver who's been making waves for race 1 and 2. So right now, I am coming over to Encik Mio Hafiz. He's the oldest competitor for Group B. Jangan menggelabah. Walaupun umur tak menjadi faktor untuk e-racing, betul tak?
Betul.
Jadi kat sini kita nampak race 1 and 2 anda sangat konsisten. Jadi kalau lawan anda adalah Encik Chong Kai Cheng kita di sini, did you expect that to happen?
Yeah, Chong Kai Cheng very consistent driver. So dia sangat handal. Dia sangat memberi tumpuan. So I am very respect to him.
Rasa tercabar macam tu?
Ya, tercabar.
Tapi kita nampak macam Iqbal Suji yang mempunyai strategi yang lebih superior. Kalau kita nampak sprinting, mungkin semua akan sama saja. Tapi bila masuk race management, bila masuk endurance, nampaknya Iqbal Suji menjadi lawan ketat. Adakah Mio setuju?
Ya, betul, setuju. Iqbal Suji adalah very consistent driver. Dia boleh manage pace walaupun tayar wear dia agak kurang.
Agak botak sebenarnya.
Agak botak. Botak seperti?
Botak seperti, bukan awak, kita dua ada rambut. Tapi saya faham, soft tyres yang digunakan dan di pit awal, jadi nampaknya dia botak. Last 2-3 laps tu, macam tu. Adakah anda berani untuk melakukan strategi seperti itu?
Berani sebenarnya. Ya, betul.
Sekarang cakap sedang lah. Dah habis race boleh lah.
So, saya suka dengan cabaran seperti itu. Tayar botak. So, I love management of race. actually.
Management risk is very important, especially as the race becomes longer and longer as time goes by untuk race 3 dan 4 kan. Jadi anda sebagai grand finalist last year dan kali ini mencuba sekali lagi, adakah anda membawa suatu feel ataupun strategi yang berbeza?
Kita akan tunggu dan lihat di race yang ketiga dan keempat sebentar lagi.
Oh, tunggu saja, tak nak bagi tahu apa-apa.
Tunggu je lah.
Tunggu je lah. Alah, ingat peminat-peminat kat luar sana nak tahu apa pembaruan yang dibawa oleh Mio ni. Mio seorang yang veteran dikira kalau kita cerita pasal Velocity Championship ni. Okey Mio, tahniah kita ucapkan. Well done on race 1 and race 2. Good luck for race 3 and 4. Alright? Ada peminat, ada apa pesan untuk peminat-peminat?
Kepada peminat-peminat, saya ada peminat dah.
Ada tadi kat sana ada woo 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 begitu.
Kepada semua peminat, terima kasih banyak.
Dia macam tak percaya ada peminat. Dia tak ada peminat kat sana tengah woo woo woo. Semua memberi sokongan kepada Mio Hafiz. Sokong kepada Mio Hafiz. Nampak tu, okey. So semoga menjadi perangsang untuk anda untuk race ketiga dan keempat nanti. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we've concluded race 1 and race 2 of Group B. So that means Group A is settled, Group B is settled. And now we go to race 3 and 4. That's coming up after the break. But meanwhile, let's wrap up the highlights with Mr. Victor Cax as well as Matthew Isaac.
All right, I mean, what a fantastic interview we had. But let's have a look on the highlights for semi-finals. Group B, race 2, lots of actions and drama that happened on the track, especially both of these right now. Mio Hafiz and also Iqbal Suji. We saw Kai Chang from P8, man. He finished all the way to P3. I mean, you can take it over from here, man. What actually happened over here?
I mean, again, Kai Chang actually started literally at the back and was making up those places he went along. And slowly but surely made himself back up into the podium here, which is going to be crucial for his points. Mio Hafiz, though, had to battle pretty hard. I mean, him and Iqbal Suji had to fight tooth and nail for every single position that it went up. And given that those two drivers were extremely fast, it was kind of expected to see them climb up the board pretty quickly. But what I didn't expect to see was that, you know, by the end of everything, that Iqbal Suji chose to go on a very brilliant strategy here. Again, you know, starting on the medium tires, just like you mentioned during the interview there, that was a very crucial thing for him because that allowed him to maximize his race start here. And, you know, using the soft tires to go for the longest stint means that he will have, on average, you know, the lap time to really keep himself in that lead, while at the same time, you know, not really losing too much in terms of the compound.
So yeah, so that is the end of the highlights that we saw from the race. But right now, let's have a look on the race results for Group B. So on P1, it's going to be Mohammad Iqbal Suji carrying it 25 points. P2 is going to be Mio Hafiz with 18 points. P3 is going to be Chong Kai Chang 15 points. P4, Putra Azwira 12 points. P5 is going to be Izam Ali on 10 points. P6 is going to be Fakrul Shame on 8 points. P7, Goigi Ying 6 points. P8, Akil Safi with 4 points. P9 is going to be Mohammad Hakim bin Tuaimi 2 points. And last but not least is going to be Mohammad Juwaidi on P10 with only 1 point. That is the race results there, Victor.
Yeah, this result of the points distributed after race number 2. What I'm most curious of is going to be the overall result, which we'll be seeing on screen very soon. Can't wait to see how this is going to turn out. Iqbal is going to be taking the top spot here at the end of 2 races with 43 points. Chong Kai Chang just behind him by 3 points here at 40. And then followed by a big gap. 7 points between Chong Kai Chang and Muir Muhammad Hafiz in 3rd place there. Man, I mean, top 2 is definitely very close, but Muir coming in with 33 points there, puts himself very comfortably ahead of Wayne Go Yi Ying, ahead of Putra Azwira. So this is, you know, a very top-heavy kind of group here compared to Group A, because I think when you compare it to Group A, the gap on average between first, second, third, fourth, I think a little bit more evenly spread out than this one. I mean, Chong Kai Chang and Iqbal, I expect they're going to be battling very, very hard in race 3 and 4 for this group lead.
Yeah, this is what I say just now there, Victor. I mean, race 3 and race 4 is going to be super interesting to watch. So I'm really looking forward to it, how things are going to be coming out in the end. But right now, I guess that is the overall results. We already saw the rest of the other results, especially from Group B. Right now, the only thing that is waiting is going to be race 3 and race 4 that will be coming up later on. But before that, we're going to be going on with Nas. So Nas, my brother, take it away, my man.
Thank you very much. Have I told you guys you are doing an awesome job as commentators, Victor and Matthews. Oh my goodness gracious me. And of course, Wanutama right here is filling up as we head towards lunchtime. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. This is Season 5 of Toyota Gazoo Racing Velocity Championship 2022. So we're going to take a quick break here. We've just concluded Race 1 and Race 2 for both groups of semi-finalists, Group A and Group B. Looks like it's following the script so far. Our top 2 drivers, Taj Aiman as well as Iqbal Suji, topping their groups respectively. Will there be any changes? Well, in race 3 and 4, we're going to be changing courses, we'll be changing cars, and it's all about experience and race management. And we'll take a look at who will be making themselves available for the grand finals. I'm Naz Rahman. Don't forget, guys, for those of you guys who are thinking of coming down to Wanutama to catch the action live, we've got a lucky draw happening right here at Wanutama. So come on down for a chance to win an Apple iPhone 13 mini. We've got an Apple Watch as well as some other prizes as well up for grabs. Try our time attack, beat the time that's set by the Toyota Gazoo Racing Ambassador and win some exclusive prizes. So come on down to Wanutama Center Court, All Wing. I'm Naz Rahman. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's race 3 and race 4. Stay tuned at 3:30 p.m.